What if the war didn't end at Hogwarts? Hermione Granger survived darkness, sacrifice, and a world that almost broke her. But some battles don't stay in the past. Across the ocean, another hunter carries his own scars. Trained to fight monsters, taught never to love, and cursed to lose everything he cares about. Two worlds, two survivors, one mistake that changes destiny. Because when Sam Winchester falls for Hermione Granger, magic and monsters collide, and the line between hunter and witch disappears. What if Sam fell for Hermione? August 2006, Forks, Washington. Hermione was looking at the different houses and trying to find the right address while sitting in the car. She had booked a room at a hotel over the internet, but now she could not manage to find it. She sighed desperately. Deciding to park the car and ask a passerby for directions, she got out of the car and ran her fingers through her hair. They were longer now and hung to her hips. With the length and a bit of magic, they were much more manageable now. Looking around, she saw a friendly-looking girl with glasses coming out of a bookstore. She approached her and said, "Hi, sorry, could you help me? I'm looking for the hotel, but I can't seem to find it. Do you know how I can get there?" The girl seemed surprised to be spoken to on the street. She held herself shyly, but started to explain. "Oh, yes. It's just around the corner to the right. You can't miss it." "Oh, thank you, I would have gone straight ahead. I wouldn't happen to know where the Cullen family lived," Hermione asked hopefully. The girl's eyes widened even more and she smoothed her hair back shyly. "The Cullens, are you here for the wedding? Are you a relative?" she asked curiously and then started apologizing. "Sorry, I didn't mean to pry." Hermione stopped her rambling with a held-up hand and smile. "Don't worry, no harm done." "Yes, so could you tell me where I can find them?" It wasn't exactly the truth, but she didn't want to explain everything to a stranger. "Oh yes, sorry, they live outside of town, in the woods. If you go straight till you leave town you should see a road going into the forest, follow it and you will get to their house," the girl explained. "Thank you so much, you have been a great help," she said sincerely and made to turn around but was held up by the girl. "I am Angela Weber, a friend of Bella's, so I will see you at the wedding." Hermione just nodded and said, "Pleasure, Hermione Granger. Sorry I must go no, I still have to check in and go visit the Cullens." She waved and went back to her car to get out her luggage. The car could stay there for the time being. With the luggage in hand she made her way to the hotel. With a tired sigh Hermione let herself plop down on the bed. The hotel room was nice, but nothing special. It had to do for the time being. Now that she was here, she didn't know if she made the right choice. Also she realized that she hadn't thought this whole thing trough. So much had happened since the war. After the war Ron and she had dated for a while, but she then had to break up with him, since she realized that they weren't right for each other. In the beginning he couldn't understand, but then after a while he saw her point of view and they continued being good friends. His mother had more difficulty accepting this. That had hit her very hard since she had seen the Weasley family as her family as well and Mrs. Weasley as a mother figure. Only after the war, she had discovered that her parents had never made it to Australia. Her friends and the Weasley family had helped her overcome her grief and she had started to see them as her family as well. But after the breakup with Ron, Mrs. Weasley's attitude towards her had changed. After a while it had gotten better again, but then something else happened again and it worsened. She just could not accept Hermione's decisions and that had hurt immensely. She had the feeling to have lost a family again, or at least a part of it. Fortunately for Hermione, Andromeda Tonks had stepped into that role and had helped her in whichever way she could. Remus and Tonks had made Harry and her Teddy's godparents, so Andromeda had taken her in as honorary daughter so that Hermione could help her take care of Teddy. And so that Hermione had someone who would help her with her pregnancy. The pregnancy had come as a shock to her and her friends and family. Mrs. Weasley had tried to push Ron and her to get married, so that the child would not be born out of wedlock. Hermione had refused to marry Ron, just because she was with child. She wouldn't do that to Ron and herself, they would have both been unhappy long-term wise. And the child wasn't even his. After her breakup with Ron, Hermione had gone to America for a vacation and to get away from everything. Ginny had come with her, because she wanted to get away as well, or so she had told her, but Hermione suspected that Ginny did not want to leave her alone. They had a lot of fun together, and then the last night they stayed there at the hotel, it happened. Ginny had stayed in her room, because she wanted to talk to Harry for a while, and Hermione had gone downstairs to the hotel bar. There she had met a good-looking giant man. They talked about a lot of things and drank a lot. In the end, they had gone to his room and they had slept together. In the morning she had sneaked out of the room and Ginny and she had left for home. She had been convinced that they had used protection, but after 2 months, she had realized that the protection hadn't worked. That night had happened shortly before Christmas, and 9 months later, on September 7, 2004, Samantha Granger was born. Thanks to Andromeda, she had a place to stay and someone who helped her with her darling daughter. Hermione helped with Teddy where she could and worked in the ministry. They had grown very close over the few years. And then the next tragedy had happened 3 months ago. Andromeda Tonks had been killed. Hermione had been out in the park with the children when Andy had been attacked and killed in their home. The Aurors had tried to find the perpetrators, but they didn't find much, just that it probably was one of the Death Eaters still on the run. Again, Hermione had lost part of her family. For the children, she had resigned from her job. In her grief she had started researching her family tree, in hope that she would find some relatives that were still living. Surprisingly, she had really found someone, even if he wasn't really living. She did not know why she had searched so far back, but she had found out that a great-great-great-uncle, she was not sure how many great, had become a vampire and walked still on this earth. To be precise, he was living, or non-living, here in Forks. He was part of a vampire coven that took their nourishment from animals instead of humans. Rather unprepared, she came here to get to know her last living relative. She had left Teddy and Shay with Harry and Ginny for a few days, even if it had been difficult to leave them behind, but it would be safer for them. If it went well with her great-uncle, she would search for a home and take the children to live here. If not, she would go back and reconsider things. Now she was here and was not sure what to do. Maybe she should have phoned ahead. But now that she was already here, that was stupid as well. She hadn't thought ahead. How would she explain that she knew about vampires? Did they know about magic? They should, shouldn't they? She groaned and rolled over on the bed. Where was her Gryffindor courage when she needed it? She wanted family. She had to do something for it. She got up and left the hotel to go see the Cullen family, before she lost her resolve. Nervously she bit her lip while she got in the car and drove to the Cullens' house. Her heart was beating loudly in her chest. She hoped it would go well. She parked her car in front of the house, sure that the vampires inside had already heard her. Taking a deep breath, she went to the front door and knocked. August 2006, Forks, Washington. Hermione was standing before the Cullens' house and was nervously putting her weight from one foot to the other. Would her great-uncle believe her? At least she had taken her research with her in her purse. She could take it out to show him and also to show him some magic if he didn't believe her word. Oh, it had been a mistake to come here unannounced. It would probably throw him and the rest of his family for a loop. Finally the door opened and a friendly-looking woman in her late 20s, early 30s stood there. "Hello, how can I help you?" she asked, smiling. "Hi, I am looking for Jasper Whitlock. Is he here? Could I speak to him?" The woman's eyes widened surprised and she seemed to stop moving altogether for a few moments. Hermione had to give it to her. Normal people wouldn't have picked up the unnatural movement. She was accustomed to being near humans for longer periods of time. "I am sorry, there is no Jasper Whitlock living here. Maybe you got the wrong address. Or the wrong surname. My son is called Jasper Hale," the woman said apologetically. Hermione was tempted to hit her forehead with her flat hand. Why did she forget that? "I am sorry, I really said the wrong surname. I meant to say Hale. Whitlock wasn't his name for at least 60 years. So could I speak to him? It is about his family." The woman seemed now even more surprised and lost for words. "Please," she asked sincerely. "Well, come in, we can talk in the living room," she then said and invited her into the house. "Thank you," Hermione said, relieved and meant it. She was taken upstairs to the living room, where there were 4 men and 3 women waiting, trying to behave unsuspiciously, and not as thought they hadn't heard everything she had said outside. "Let me introduce you to my family. I am Esme. This is my husband Carlisle Cullen, she started and went to her husband. Like all vampires, he was unnaturally beautiful. He was blonde and looked a bit older than the others. This is my son Emmett Cullen and my daughter and his girlfriend Rosalie Hale, she explained and pointed at a big muscly man with a big grin on his face and a blonde beautiful woman, that reminded her a bit of the Malfoys. She seemed a bit haughty. This is my daughter Alice Cullen and my son and her boyfriend Jasper Hale, Esme continued and pointed to a small girl with a black pixie haircut, who seemed a bit confused and a handsome man, blonde like Carlisle and Rosalie. He seemed confused as well and stared at her intently and with his forehead in crinkles. And then there is my son Edward Cullen and my soon-to-be daughter-in-law Bella Swan, she explained and pointed at the last couple. The man had bronze hair and was staring at her intently while frowning as well, he seemed unhappy. She felt someone probing her mental shield but ignored it for the moment. The last one was, to Hermione's surprise, a human girl amidst the vampires. She looked a bit plain, but she was pretty. Hello, I am sorry to disturb you all. And that unannounced as well. I assume I will talk to all of you. Oh, I am sorry I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Hermione Granger. Welcome to our home. Would you like something to drink? Esme said smiling. Yes, thank you, tea would be great. Please take a seat and I will be shortly with you. Nervously Hermione walked to the couches and took a seat. Taking a deep breath she started to explain herself. Well, firstly, you don't have to pretend in front of me. I know you are all vampires, expect of you Miss Swan. I won't tell anyone, because I am a witch. If you don't tell, I don't tell. Because I am a witch I know of vampires and other magical creatures. Before you interrupt me, the reason for me being here, is because I was searching for living family, and discovered, that I had a many great uncle in you Mr. Whitlock, sorry Mr. Hale. So now she had dropped the bomb. Everyone had frozen from shock and didn't even blink, except for Bella. But that was probably because she was a human. The first who got his bearings together was Emmett. Wait. So you mean to tell us, that you are a witch and that magic is real? That is so cool, can you show us some magic? He said enthusiastically. At almost the same time Bella said, you never told me, that there were witches as well. What else is real? Next you tell me that dragons are real. Actually, they are. There is a reservation in Romania, where a friend of mine works. But I thought you knew about magic, since you are vampires or about to become one. Or I presume you will be, because of the wedding. I asked a girl how to get here and she told me, Hermione asked unsure and still nervous. Now Carlisle spoke. Yes, you presume right. Bella will be turned after their honeymoon because she wishes it so and we are happy to have her in our family. But unfortunately, I could not tell them about magic, since I think you call it jinxed. I could not talk about it with people, who did not know about it. Ah, that explains it, at least to some degree. I will have speak to Kingsley about it. It should not happen, that magic folk is left in the dark, she said more to herself than to the others. Can we see some magic now? Emmett asked impatiently. Before she could answer him, Edward sighed. Is it because you are a witch, that I can't hear you and Alice can't see you? Hermione blinked confused. What do you mean with hearing and seeing? She asked, because it didn't make sense for her. My brother can read minds and I can see the future, or different options of the future. He can't hear your thoughts and I didn't see you coming here. Jasper is an empath. He can sense feelings and manipulate them to some extent. Can you feel her? Alice piped up. Yes, I can feel them, but they aren't as clear as other people's feelings. Do you have something to prove what you said? Are we really related? Jasper answered and looked strangely at her. Hermione was a bit overwhelmed with the information. She did not really know what to think about these abilities. So she concentrated on the things she knew. Of course, I have brought my research with me, she told him and took out her little trust bag. She acioed her research and pictures out of the bag. Yes, finally some magic. Can you show us more? Emmett asked, still impatient. Esme looked at him reproachfully. Let your brother have this moment, there is still time after this, to show you magic. Hermione gave her research over to Jasper and waited for his reaction. She was still nervous. She wanted him to what? Did she really hope that he would be her family? They did not know each other, even if they were related. He already had a family, maybe he didn't need more. After only a short while, he looked up and eyed her strangely. It seems to be true. You are the descendant of my little sister. It says here that she married and had a long life. I hope it was a happy one. Tell me, what is with her other descendants? He asked her a bit restrained. She was relieved, when he seemed to believe her, but then he asked about her family and her face fell for a short time, until she had control over it again. I am the only one left. Well, my daughter and my godson, who is like a son to me, she explained. Now the blonde vampire, who hadn't spoken yet and had looked bored, seemed interested. You are a mother then. What is with the father? Rosalie asked. Teddy's, my godson's parents died 3 years ago. I helped his grandmother raise him and she helped me with my daughter. Sadly, she died a few months ago. The father is not in the picture. It was a one-night stand and I never saw him again, Hermione explained and became sad again, when she thought about Remus, Tonks and Andromeda. Not to be rude, but why did you come here? Emmett asked bluntly. Hermione started but her voice cracked a bit. She cleared her throat and began again. I hope to get to know my relative, but I can understand, if that is not a possibility. No, I would like to get to know you and your children. I have difficulty to control my hunger around humans. I don't have the urge to drink from you. That is refreshing. Jasper stopped her. Okay, now that is taken care of, can we see more magic? Emmett said. She now suspected that he wanted to alleviate the situation a bit. Yes, of course, she said with a small smile. It would seem that she would have to search for a house or apartment here in Forks, so that she could get Shay and Teddy here. She looked forward to getting to know these people. The 13th of August 2006, Forks, Washington. Everything went a bit fast for Hermione. It was only 3 days ago, when she met the Cullen family. She had spent most of the days with them, helping them with the wedding and talking to them. They were very interesting individuals and a loving family to each other. She hoped that with time, she would find her place with them. Today was the wedding, and Alice and Esme had insisted that she would have to attend the wedding as well, since she was a relative and now part of the family. It was nice of them, they tried very hard to make her feel welcome. Bella and Edward were busy with their wedding so she did not expect anything from them. She knew from Harry and Ginny how exhausting preparing a wedding was. Emmett was a real jokester. He reminded her of Fred and George sometimes, they would get along brilliantly. His partner on the other side seemed very aloof and reminded her greatly of the Malfoys. She also seemed to share the trait of loving her family above anything else with them. Carlisle was often busy in the hospital, but he was very friendly with her. She had been very curious about his ability to work in a hospital, where people were bleeding probably every day. But she hadn't asked him yet, not wanting to be rude. When she wasn't helping with the wedding or getting to know the others, she was talking to her great-uncle. She had decided to leave the many greats behind to make it easier. He was very calm and surprisingly easy to talk to. He liked to read, like her, and knew a lot. He had told her about his emphatic ability and his life with the Cullens. She, on the other hand, had told him more about magic and her children. They both had yet to talk about the wars. She had the feeling that he suspected her of being in a war. There were moments, that his face showed understanding or recognition sometimes. There had been so much to do, that she hadn't had time to look for a place to live. She would have to start after the wedding. But she had already informed Harry and Ginny that she would stay in America for a while and that she would get Shay and Teddy in a few days. Maybe she could talk with Esme after the wedding was over. She had heard that she was in the housing business. By chance, she had some idea where she could start looking. She hoped to find something fast, since she missed her children. Hermione had received a dress from Alice that she had to wear at the wedding. It was a light grayish-violet color with short sleeves and went down to her knees. She would have preferred it to have long sleeves, so she wouldn't have to wear glamours and makeup over her scars, but that would have been a bit suspicious, since it was August and not very cold. She was standing in the Cullens' house beside Esme, when they were approached by 3 women and a man. Hermione recognized them as vampires. Esme had told her that their sister coven, the Denali clan, would also be attending the wedding. This should be them then. For the cover story they are cousins of the Cullens and I am a cousin as well. But I will be from another branch of the family since we never met, Hermione thought and greeted the Denalis with a smile. And who might this be? The one called Tanya, and from her behavior also the leader of the coven, asked. Let me introduce you. This is Hermione Granger, a cousin from Britain. These are our cousins from Alaska, Tanya, Kate, Carmen and her husband Eleazar, Esme said loudly, so that anyone eavesdropping could hear them. Then she explained the truth while whispering. Even Hermione had a bit of difficulty hearing her. Her senses were sharper than a human's but not as sharp as a vampire's. It's a pleasure to meet you, Hermione said to the new coven. The pleasure is ours, Tanya responded for her coven. They were interrupted by Jasper. Sorry to interrupt, but the wedding is about to start. There will be time later to talk. They all nodded and took their place. Hermione was observing the other guests while she waited for the wedding to actually start. She spotted the girl, Angela, that had helped her find her way here. As she looked in her direction as well, Hermione smiled lightly and waved at her. She was standing with a boy and a couple on the other side of the aisle, on the bride's part, while she was on the groom's part. The girl's eyes widened before she smiled and waved as well. Her friend saw that and looked curiously at Hermione. Hermione smiled for a second and then continued to watch the people. For a second, she thought she saw someone familiar, but that could not be. She had to look twice to be sure that it wasn't him. It was a tall young boy with russet skin and short black hair. The skin color and hair had reminded her of Shay's father. For a moment there, she had thought it had been him. She had often thought about finding him and telling him about his daughter, but she didn't have many information about him. Maybe, if she really had wanted to, she would have found him. She had searched for him for a bit, but the pregnancy hadn't been easy and had taken up a lot of time and energy. So she had given up, told herself that she would continue looking when she was better used to being a mother. Then had come the insecurities. What if she didn't find him? What if he didn't want to be found? What if he didn't want to be a father, or didn't want her? What if he had a girlfriend or even wife? All that had led to her not searching for him anymore, even if she thought about him often and for some unexplainable reason, even missed him. It hadn't made sense to her, it still didn't, but she had learned to live like that. The boy who resembled him a bit was standing with a woman, probably his mother, judging from the looks, and a man in a wheelchair. They had the same russet skin and black hair like him. Could they be related to him? Perhaps, she should try to talk to them and ask about him discreetly. As she was lost in her musings, music started to play, and everyone looked to the stairs, where Bella should come down any minute now. Hermione blinked and looked to the stairs as well. Alice, then Bella and her father came down shortly after the music had started. Bella's dress was beautiful, and you could see the love for her soon-to-be husband in her eyes, as soon as she saw him. The guests turned around and sat down to witness the ceremony. It was a beautiful wedding, and it promised to be even a better reception. The 13th of August 2006, Forks, Washington. The reception was spectacular. Hermione enjoyed it immensely. There were a lot of interesting people there, like the Denalis, Bella's family and friends. But the russet-colored family that she still wanted to talk to was probably the most interesting. Congratulations to you both. I believe everyone here can see how much you love each other and how happy you are. I wish you all the best for your future. I will give you your present when you come back from your honeymoon. It's something special, Hermione said while smiling at them and winked at the end. Before she could say anything else, a deep voice could be heard from behind her. Congratulations, Bella, I hope you will be happy. Hermione turned around to see who had spoken. It was the man in the wheelchair with the tall boy and the woman. She stepped to the side to make some space for them but stayed hoping she would get the chance to learn their names. Congrats, guys, said the boy with a wide grin and then hugged Bella. It's good to see things work out for you, man. I'm happy for you, he said while hugging Edward. Thank you, Seth. That means a lot to me, Edward sighed and then looked at the adults. Thank you for coming and supporting Bella today, Billy, Sue, he said to them with a nod. They nodded as well, and Billy said, You are welcome. Who might this be? I heard she is a cousin of yours, Edward. Yes, this is Hermione Granger from Britain. Hermione, this is Seth and Sue Clearwater and Billy Black. They live at the reservation in La Push, Edward introduced them. Black, Clearwater. Could they be related to Penelope Clearwater or even to Sirius? But they were obviously from a Native American tribe if they lived on a reservation. She would have to ask them, but not now. It's a pleasure to meet you. Would it be possible for me to visit the reservation sometime? Or is it closed to public? She asked. She wanted to have a chance to talk to them more, find out if they knew Penelope or Sirius or maybe even him. Billy and Seth exchanged short eye contact. Hermione, I think that isn't. Edward started but was interrupted by Billy. No, it is fine. Come and visit. We will be happy to show you around. Maybe Seth here will do the job. With my wheelchair it's a bit difficult to go to the beach, and that is something you should not miss. Seth nodded and said, yeah, I can show you around. Just let me know when you want to come by. I can give you my number. It should be easier that way. Thank you very much. I am looking forward to it, she said to them and pulled out her phone from her bag. She had gotten one while staying with Andromeda. It had been easier to contact her. After a few exploded phones and some testing, she had discovered a rune that made the phones work with magic around them. That had worked for other electric things as well, and so Andy and she had started to watch movies together some evenings. Hermione exchanged her number with Seth and then excused herself. She had taken enough time with the bride and groom. Hermione Granger. She heard her name being called. She looked around and saw Angela Weber waving at her. Hermione smiled and made her way to her. Hello, how are you? Thank you again for helping me out last time, she greeted the girl. You're welcome. I am happy I could help, she answered. You don't seem like a Cullen to me, a girl standing next to Angela said. Don't be rude, Angela reprimanded her friend quietly. Hermione blinked a few times, surprised by her rudeness. That's because I am not a Cullen, even if I am related to them. My name is Hermione Granger. Pleasure to meet you, she told her politely, even if she didn't want to. Before the rude girl could say something, her boyfriend introduced himself. Hi, I'm Mike, it's a pleasure to meet you too. He was stretching his hand out to her and she took it after a moment's hesitation. The rude girl didn't seem happy about it. I am Jessica Stanley, the girl said. Hermione, may I call you that? This is my boyfriend Ben Chaney. Somewhere around here, there are more of mine and Bella's friends. I am sure you will meet them, Angela told her smiling. She liked the girl, but her friend and the other boy made her uncomfortable, so she said, it was nice seeing you again, maybe I will see you around sometime. Later, I have to go talk to Jasper. Please excuse me. Relieved to get out from that unpleasant situation, she made her way to find something to drink. The evening went by and Hermione didn't remember everyone she talked to, there were just too many. Ron would have loved the food here, even if the potions wouldn't have agreed with him. The dancing was a mixture of enjoyment and frustration. She had enjoyed dancing with the Cullen men. They were very good dancers. And they hadn't any interest in her as a woman. Seth had also danced with her and had been very polite. Other high school boys, however, hadn't been. They had stared at her, tried to find out if she was single, and while dancing, they had tried touching her butt. She had enough for a while, so she sat down in a quiet corner. After some time, she got the feeling of eyes watching her from the woods. She tried seeing into the darkness, but it was quite difficult. She thought she could see Bella dancing with another guy she hadn't met, but he seemed to be one of the local tribe. She tried seeing into the woods but wasn't able to. Her eyes began to wander, but then she saw that Bella and the guy seemed to get into an argument. Before she could react, Jasper was at her side and took her away. She thought to glimpse some fur around the area where Bella was standing, but when she had the chance to look again, there was only Bella and Edward there. Who could that young man have been? And who had been hiding in the woods? Jasper. Who was that with Bella? And who was in the forest? She decided to ask her great-uncle. That was Jacob Black, Billy Black's son and Bella's best friend. And how did you know that someone was in the woods? He answered half of her questions and posed one himself. I sensed eyes on me from that direction, but I couldn't see in the darkness, she answered evasively. She did not want to tell him anymore, and he seemed not to want to tell her, who was in the forest. She would have to find out another way. She danced a bit with Jasper, Emmett and Carlisle while avoiding Mike and the other boys. Soon after, it was time for the bride and groom to start off on their honeymoon. She wished them the best and let the others have their moment with the pair. After they had sent them off, she bade them goodbye for the night and promised to come by the next day. Since she was a bit tired, she decided to apparate to her hotel room. She would get her car tomorrow. She went into the house and with a pop, she disappeared. The 13th of August 2006, Forks, Washington. Sam was watching his pack and their mates playing at the beach. Jared and Kim had been together the longest. Then Embry, his half-brother, he still couldn't believe it, had met Emily and they had gotten together. Shortly after the tragedy had happened and Quill had imprinted on the 2-year-old niece of Emily. The poor guy had gotten an earful from Emily, but after she had calmed down, she understood that he had no choice in the matter. The last one to imprint had been Paul. He had imprinted on Jacob's older sister Rachel Black. Sam wasn't sure if Jake knew already about it. He was still missing. He had run off after he had received Bella's wedding invitation. He was not sure if he would show up or not. Soon they would have to go. He trusted the Cullens. It would be stupid not to after the battle they had fought together, but it was better to be there and ensure that nothing went wrong. Seth would attend the wedding with Billy and Sue. But the pack would be there to keep an eye on things. Maybe Jacob would turn up in the end and would try to ruin the wedding. Seth, it's time to get ready. Sue's voice was heard by everyone on the beach. Seth, who was playing soccer with Colin and Brady, pouted a little, but then ran off to get ready. Sam continued watching his pack. Lee was sitting apart from the others as the only female pack member. They had dated for a while in school but had broken it off before he even knew about the pack. They were still friends even if it was a bit strained. After he had finished school, he had left the reservation for a few weeks to see the world. Or at least part of America. He had also visited other tribes. During his travels he had met an interesting woman. He had also spent a night with her. Unfortunately, she had left the following morning, and even with asking at the front desk, he didn't see her again. Or at least not the conventional way. Sometimes he saw her image in his mind. Her shining eyes, her radiant smile, her bouncing curls, something small could trigger a memory with her. He sometimes even missed her, even if he only spent an evening with her. He wasn't sure what that meant. Had he fallen in love or was he just lonely and horny? Sometimes he wished that he would imprint and that it all would be clear for him. The others seemed to be happy. Fortunately, the others did not know anything about her. He never thought of her, when in his wolf form. He actively did not think about her. She was his secret. He observed the others for another while, before he got them together to go to the wedding and observe, make sure, that nothing happened. They had been watching the wedding for a while, when Leah disappeared and reappeared shortly after in human form. She had been one of the few in wolf form, the others staying humans. "What's the matter?" Sam asked her. "Jacob, he is close, and will get here in the evening. He wants to talk to you," she told him. He nodded, and then disappeared behind some trees to transform. "Jake, you wanted to speak with me." "Hey, Sam, listen, I am sorry. It was too much to handle all that. I know it wasn't the right thing, but I needed it. But now I want to be there for Bella. Even just for a moment. Can you help me?" "Sure. Get here as fast as you can. I will let the leeches know." Sam transformed back. He would help Jacob. He didn't want him to hurt anyone at this wedding. Not even the leeches. As far as leeches went, these ones here were alright. They had fought together. That had to mean something. He called Seth to let him know of Jake's arrival and so that he could let the mind reader know. After a few minutes he got a call from Seth, informing him of the groom's gratitude. Later in the evening he was standing at the edge of the forest and watching the people celebrate the bride and groom. Many people were dancing and enjoying themselves otherwise. It was then when he saw her. It was a petite woman in a violet dress and a mane of curls. She was leaving the dance floor and getting closer to where he was standing, sitting down in a quieter corner. He was not sure if it was really her. Could it be? What were the chances? She was too far away. To be sure, he could not even see her face. But he hoped it was her. She turned around after some time and looked to the woods, in his direction. Could she sense his presence or his eyes on her? He wished he could go to her, see if it was really her. But he had to stay here. He knew Jacob would be here any minute now. And so, it was. Jacob arrived and Sam had to pay attention to him and Bella talking and dancing. It looked to go well for the moment, but it could go wrong any minute. He looked to the woman again. She was still sitting there and looking around. Then he heard Jacob get louder. He looked to him and saw that he had his hands around Bella's upper arms and was squeezing them harshly. Not hesitating, he singed the others to get Jake away from Bella. Jacob was even trembling now. "Jake, let her go, you don't want to hurt her," he called him and stepped out of the woods. Jacob let her go and Jared and Paul grabbed him. Leah stood protectively between Bella's leech and the pack. "Let's go," he commanded, and the others went back into the forest and took Jacob with them. They could hear Jacob shouting, "Bella, tell me you are joking." Sam nodded to the leech and his bride before he looked behind them, to see if he could catch a glimpse of the woman from before, but she was not there anymore. Then he called Seth to follow him and they disappeared into the woods. He did not transform yet, his thoughts still on the woman from before. Could it have been really her? He had to find out. If it had been her, he wanted to talk to her. They had spent an amazing night together. Who knows what could have happened, if she hadn't left in the morning. If he had gotten involved with her more permanently, he probably would have had to break up with her, after he had transformed into a wolf. Except what if she was? Now he had to see her. Know if it was her, why she had left and what had brought her here. The 16th of August 2006, Forks, Washington. Hermione was standing near her car and was waiting nervously for Seth. They had talked on the phone and made arrangements to meet here, so he could take her around the reservation. She also wanted to look at a house near the reservation, that Esme had talked about. A day after the wedding she had talked to the motherly vampire so she could help her find a home for Hermione and her kids. She had looked at a few over the few days, but she didn't like them, they didn't feel right. She hoped the one she would look at today would be the right. She really missed Shay and Teddy. She looked at her watch again. She knew she was early, but she was still thinking. He had forgotten until she heard him call her. "Hey Hermione, am I late? Sorry, I thought I would be here early so I could still get something to eat." "Hello Seth. No, you're not late. I am early as well. I could come with you. What do you want to eat? Come, let's go over there." He pointed. "There's diner, they make very good pancakes and great bacon." Hermione had to hide a smirk and nodded. "That's fine with me." She followed him into the diner and sat down in a booth with him. They ordered their food and talked while they waited. "I come here all the time with my friends. Well, when we have money. Sometimes my mom cooks for us, other times one of the girlfriends cooks. We eat a lot, so we try not to eat at the same place every time. Now that I think about it, we should eat fast, before my friends could maybe get here." Hermione raised an eyebrow questioningly and smirked. "What? Don't you want to get seen with an old woman like me?" "What do you mean? You're not old. My friends can be rather rowdy, and I don't want to scare you away or get the impression that we people from the reservation are savages," he explained to her while smirking as well. "I may not be that old, but I experienced a lot. And I am also," she started but was interrupted by a loud voice. "Seth, why are you here without us?" "Yeah, and with a girl. Are you on a date?" Seth groaned and hid his face behind his hands. "See, that's exactly what I meant," he told her. "Guys, behave. It's not a date. Billy told me to show her the reservation. We met her at the wedding," he explained. "We never saw you here. Are you a relative or friend of Bella's from where she lived before?" one of them asked. "No, I am related to the Cullens," she told them and was a bit surprised by their reaction. "But you don't look like A.L. Cullen," another said, but he changed his sentence after Seth looked at him. "Well, they are all adopted, and I am only distantly related to them," she explained. "Maybe now that is clear, introductions are in order. I'm Hermione Granger, from Britain, and you are." Seth introduced the four guys as Jared, Jacob, Embry and Quill. "Why don't you sit with us? My treat," Hermione told them and made space for them. "You sure? We eat a lot," Embry said. "Seth already told me." "I am sure. Sit down," she insisted. They sat down and ordered a lot of food, when the waitress came to bring Seth and Hermione theirs. Seth's friends were rowdy loud and really ate a lot. They reminded her of the Weasley boys. After her breakup with Ron and her refusal to marry him during her pregnancy, Molly's attitude towards her had changed and Hermione stopped going to the burrow. She still met with some of the boys. Ron and she were still friends, but not as close as she was with Harry and also with Ginny. Sometimes she missed the brunches at the burrow. Now she felt like being at one and she had to smile. She would have to invite them over sometime when she had her house. Maybe she could ask them to help her with a few things. Then she would have an excuse to invite them. The boys told her about life in the tribe and she asked them a few things, but sometimes they avoided topics or didn't say everything. She let it slide, knowing how that was. You spoke of more of your friends, how many are there? Hermione asked, hoping she would get some more information. There is my sister Leah, Paul, Colin, Brady and Sam, Seth told her. Could it really be him? Could the Sam Seth spoke about be her Sam? Shay's father. What if it was him? How should she meet him again? How should she tell him that he was a father? What if he was one of Seth's friends with a girlfriend? All the questions she had thought she had left behind during her pregnancy came up again. Hermione, everything okay? Seth asked her worried. Yes, sorry, I was just thinking about something, she told him vaguely. They talked a bit more, before Seth and she decided to go and finally take a look around the reservation. The boys thanked her for the food and promised to show their appreciation another time, if she stayed here longer. While walking away she heard one of the boys say, she is nothing like the leeches and she is 5 times better than Bella. She bought us so much food. They knew about vampires. How? Were they something magical as well? She would have to ask Jasper or one of the others. Seth showed her the reservation and told her more of the tribe. Before he could show her the beach though, Hermione had to stop him. Sorry Seth, you will have to show me later, I have an appointment soon. I didn't think that we would spend so much time at breakfast, but it was fun. If you have time and still want to spend time with an old lady like me, I could meet you at the beach in 2 or so hours, she told him, the last part teasingly. Yeah, that's fine and you're not old. I will be there with my friends, come by anytime. I hope it's not a doctor's appointment, he told her. No, I'm looking for a house and have an appointment to view one, she explained. They said their goodbyes and went their way. Hermione drove to the house. It wasn't far from the reservation. Probably near the border, but she wouldn't be on time if she walked normally and the other way would be a bit suspicious. At the house, a young man was waiting for her, to show her the property. He was very forthcoming and was also flirting with her. But as soon as he heard about her children, he stopped flirting. That was nothing new for Hermione. That had happened a lot. In the beginning that had hurt a bit, now she used it to ward off unwanted attention. She loved the house, it was beautiful and exactly what she was looking for. The surroundings were nature, and she didn't have direct neighbors, that was perfect for accidental magic. I would like to buy the house. How soon can I move in? The 16th of August 2006, Forks, Washington. Sam had been teaching Colin and Brady in the morning, while Leah and Paul had been patrolling. They were getting better in controlling their anger and their wolf. He was now on his way to Emily's house with Brady and Colin, where they were all meeting for lunch. He greeted the others, that were already there, but it was only Paul, Leah and the other girls. Frowning he asked, "Where are the others?" "They are not here yet, but they should be here soon," Kim said. They all sat down, talked, and waited for the others. Not long after Jared, Embry, Quill and Jacob came and sat down as well. A pleasant smell wafted through the room coming from the 4 men, most strongly from Jared. He took a deep breath and tried to find out what it was. After a while he realized that the 4 of them weren't eating as much as they usually did. "What did you do in the morning?" he asked, wanting to know what was wrong with them and where the smell came from. "We were at the diner, where we met Seth and his new friend. She treated us to breakfast," Quill told them with a wide grin. "New friend? Who is she and where is she from?" Ha asked, already having a suspicion. "Seth met her at the wedding with Billy and Billy told her Seth would show her around the reservation, so don't worry, he knows about her being here. Her name is Hermione, I think," Jared explained. Hermione was it her? The Hermione he spent a night with. The Hermione he couldn't stop thinking about sometimes. He had to see for himself. Not much later Seth came back. He smelled even more like her. Under the guise of being protective of the tribe, he began to ask, "Seth, where is your new friend?" Seth froze mid-path to the table and looked with wide eyes at him. Wait, the guys told you. Hermione had an appointment to look for a house near the border. She is coming back afterwards. We are meeting at the beach later. Don't worry, Billy said she could come on the reservation, Seth explained worriedly. Sam nodded without saying anything. He would meet this Hermione later and see if it was the Hermione he knew. Hermione was so happy. She had found the perfect house for her and her children. She missed them a lot and now she could go get them soon. She had to wait a few more days till the paperwork was taken care of, and she had furnished the house a bit. But she had already informed Harry and Ginny already. With a grin and a light step, she went to meet Seth at the beach. She saw them from far away and made her way to them. Seeing Seth, she waved at him. He came running to her and she smiled at him. "I got the house. I will move in a few days. I am so happy right now," she told him happily. Seth grinned and said, "Well, then I should congratulate you and welcome you to Forks and the reservation, neighbor." "Thank you, Seth. So now let me meet your other friends." "Fine, but I warned you about them. And don't let my sister intimidate you. She may seem unfriendly, but no, actually she is rather unfriendly to people she doesn't know," he explained and went back to his friends with her. She laughed and reassured Seth she would not take it personally. Hermione looked to the others and froze on the spot. She had almost forgotten why she had wanted to meet his friends. Not far away from her stood Sam, staring at her. Her breath hitched a little. He was even better looking than in her memories and his gaze was very intense. After what felt like hours, but really were only seconds, he began moving towards them. His eyes not leaving her for a moment. He halted in front of her. "Hello Hermione, it has been a while. How have you been?" he asked her. Hermione swallowed first and answered a bit shyly. "Hello Sam, it has. Fine and you?" Her brain was blank, she had so many things to ask him, to tell him, but now when he was standing in front of her she didn't know what to say. "Fine as well," he responded, and they kept staring at each other. Wait. You two know each other?" "How?" cried Seth. "A while," called another one. "How long is a while?" asked someone else. Hermione blinked and looked at Seth's friends. Overwhelmed with the questions, she looked to Sam for help. "She and I met during my travels after graduation. We did not meet after that. When you said Hermione, I was not sure if it could be her," he told the others. She was glad that he explained. She did not know how much the others knew or how much he wanted her to tell them. "I am sorry Hermione, I have to go now, but Seth tells me you will be living near here. We will have a lot of time to talk later. Welcome to Forks and the reservation. I hope I will see you again soon," Sam told her. The others seemed confused that he left, but didn't say anything. "Yes, I just bought a house between Forks and the reservation. I will see you around soon. Goodbye Sam," she said and waved at him as he left. She would have to find out if he had a girlfriend to see if and when she should tell him that he had a daughter. Sam did not believe what just happened. How could that be? Was that why she had not left his thoughts? Why he had been so attracted to her when they met? What should he do? When Seth had gone to her at the beach, he had followed his gaze and seen her. He had stood up and stared at her. As soon as he looked at her eyes, he felt his world shift. Now nothing was more important than her. She was everything for him. He would be anything for her. Since he knew how she was in bed he hoped she would let him inside her bed again. But he would be happy either way. But he had to digest this news and think about how to go on from here. Last time he saw Hermione she had left. He did not know why, but he had to find out. How should he tell her? She was not from the tribe, she did not know the legends. Maybe he should talk with Billy and ask him about it. They could have a bonfire, like they had made for Bella at one point. They could tell her the legends there and after that he could later tell her about what had happened to him. Or should he first try to get to know her better? That was probably good as well. So many thoughts circled in his mind. He transformed and went running to try and clear his head. At one point he had to tell her that he had imprinted on her. She was now his soulmate and he would do and be anything for her. The 16th of August 2006, Forks, Washington. Hermione, why did you not say something? Seth asked her, still shocked. I was not sure if it was really the Sam I met 3 years ago. I had a feeling when I first saw you, that you might know him, but I was not sure, Hermione tried explaining. What happened then? Embry asked curiously. I was traveling after my graduation as well, but I went a bit farther away, from Britain to the US. On my last day I met Sam at the bar of the hotel I was staying at. We talked and got drunk. I had to leave the next day with my friend before we could exchange information. I actually tried finding him for some time, but then things happened. I did not expect to meet him when I was looking for my remaining family, she said thoughtfully. Now, can I meet your other friends? She asked with a smile, wanting to change the topic. Oh, yes, of course. Come on then, Seth said, and with the others that had followed him and Sam over to her, they went back to the other people. Hey guys, this is Hermione Granger. She just bought a house near the reservation, he introduced her. Then he told her the names of the people she had not met yet, like Paul and Rachel. So you will be our neighbor? Quill asked with a grin and waggled his eyebrows to Seth. Seth frowned and pushed Quill. They then started to play fight with each other. Hermione had to laugh a bit at their antics. It reminded her more and more of the Weasley brunches. She got a bit nostalgic. Smiling to the others, she said, "It is very nice to meet you all. I hope we can get to know each in the future." A lot of the ones there smiled at her and said the same back to her. Just two seemed to be not too happy. The girl, Leah, huffed, stood up and walked away from the group. In the meantime, Jacob sat there gloomily looking out to the ocean. Did I say something wrong? She asked a bit worried. No, ignore Leah, she is always like that. And Jake, well, Jake is heartbroken, Embry told her. I warned you about my sister, she is grumpy. And well, you were at the wedding of Bella, so you know why Jake is heartbroken. He loves her, Seth said, having Quill in a headlock. Jacob growled. Shut up. You don't know anything. He jumped up and walked away as well. Hermione sighed. She really hoped she could be friends with them. Any one of you want to help me move and clean up my house for a bit of money? I pay well and I will make you snacks, she said with a grin. Almost all of the guys present raised their hands volunteering. Laughing, she said, we will have to take turns. I bought a big house, but I am not sure I will need all of your help. I promise to cook for all of you at least once for volunteering to help me. All of the guys cheered and their girlfriends smiled gratefully. It was something good for them too, since they would not need to cook for the group, like Seth had told her. Free food was always welcome, even more if they ate as much as she had seen in the morning. She spent some more time with them, getting to know them better. After some time talking with them, she pulled together her Gryffindor courage and asked about Sam having a girlfriend, but of course she tried to not be blunt. So, do you guys all have a partner? Who is with whom? She asked, hoping to not be too obvious in her intentions. Emily smiled at her in a friendly manner and explained, I am with Embry, Rachel here is with Paul, while Kim is with Jared. Quill has someone as well, but she is not here at the moment. The others don't have anybody yet. How about you? Any boyfriend or suitors? Hermione shook her head and laughed a bit. No, not at the moment, at least no one I would be interested in. I had some in the past, but nothing worked out or was mutual. I hope that changes, she confessed. But first the possible partners would have to accept her children. If not, even if she liked them, she would not enter a relationship. They continued to chat some more, before she bid them farewell. She went back to the Cullens' house, to spend time with Jasper and the others and tell them about the house she bought. Sam ran in the woods and tried to get a clear head. He really needed to talk to her, but his thoughts were too jumbled up. Calm down. Gods, how can anyone have so many thoughts at once? What happened there? Why are you like this? Jared asked him through their mind link. What do you want? Sam asked him without a lot of patience. I followed you to see what happened and to help you. So tell me what is wrong. Jared said stubbornly and kept following him. A picture of Hermione came into Sam's mind and the feeling of her being everything and their night together as well. He slowed down and stopped as he heard Jared stumble and gasp. What was that? How you slept with her? When? And she is your imprint. He could hear his second-in-command yell at him in his head. He sighed. Why did they have to be able to read each other like that, so noisy? Hey, I heard that. Now tell me, Jared insisted. Fine, fine, I will tell you. I just found out she is my imprint at the beach. When I met her 3 years ago, I had not yet transformed. But I was really taken with her. Met her in a bar and we talked and got drunk. We ended up in bed together. Best night of my life, but in the morning, she was gone, and I could not find her again. Now I know why I could not forget her. She is my fucking imprint. What am I going to do? He asked a bit desperately. Jared was speechless for a moment. We need to let her know about the legends and you need to talk to her. Maybe first try to find out why she left last time and tell her you looked for her. Then, ask her out on a date. You either invite her to a bonfire or let Seth do it. She seems to get along fine with him, Jared suggested. Sam growled at the thought that there could be more between Seth and Hermione. Calm down, they just met. She is your imprint and not his. He will know what to do. Jared tried to calm down their alpha. He tried to calm down and sighed frustrated. Yes, you were right. I should really do that. How am I going to ask her out? Jared rolled his eyes in his wolf form, which drew a growl from Sam. Just talk to her, when you meet her next. She is living near us now. You will have time to get to know her and there will be a chance to ask her out. Man, one would think you never had something with a woman. And we unfortunately know you had something with Leah, he said, shaking his head. Come on, let's run some more, to get your head a bit clearer. We can go look where she will be living if you want to, Jared suggested. After Sam agreed, they ran through the woods and Sam searched for her lovely scent. He found it and it led them to a large house, with no immediate neighbors. We will patrol here too from now on. I don't want anything to happen to her, Sam said, looking around. Of course, but you might want to tell the Cullens. On the other hand, maybe not, since she is related to them, Jared said thoughtfully. What do you mean, she is related to them? I thought she was one of Bella's friends or relatives, Sam asked, shocked. Jared shrugged his shoulders, which looked kind of strange in his wolf form. Well, that is what she told us, that she was a distant relative to one of them. Now that I think about it, how is that possible and who is it? Does she know about them being leeches? He asked himself. Sam sighed heavily and felt frustrated. So many mysteries cloaked his imprint. He had to find out. We will ask them, or her, when seeing her next time, he said. He really hoped he could hold her again, like he had done 3 years ago. He had missed her, even if he had only spent one night with her. He could not wait to talk with her again. But he also knew he had to be patient and not overwhelm her. Let's run some more, he said and took off, Jared following him. The 19th of August 2006, between Forks and La Push, Washington. A few days had passed since her acquiring the house. It now officially belonged to her. All papers had been signed and the money had been transferred. Hermione had talked to the Cullen family and to her magical family at home and had informed them about the house. She wanted to ready her house as soon as she could, because she missed her children. She now was unpacking her trusty little bag and pulled out boxes after boxes. Right as she finished, there was a knock on the door. Wiping the sweat from her forehead, she opened the door and smiled at the 4 men on her doorstep. Seth, Jared, Jacob and Sam were standing there with paint, brushes, hammers and other work tools. They had volunteered to help her renovate the house. She just had not expected Sam to come as well. How should she behave in his presence? She would just try to treat him like the others until they would talk. Thank you, guys, for coming and helping me. I love the house, but it needs a little bit of work, so I am very grateful. I will pay for your time and cook for you, she told them. We are happy to help. You will be our neighbor after all, Sam spoke with a warm, deep voice. Hermione almost shivered as she heard his voice. She smiled and let them in. I already did some cleaning but have not finished with everything yet. I am finished with upstairs, so you could start with painting there. Or repairs before. I am not sure how that is done. Maybe have a look around first, she said, a bit unsure of how to start with them. Don't worry, Jared and I have some experience and Jacob and Seth are hard workers. Leave it to us. We will have it done in no time, Sam told her reassuringly. Great, then let me show you the house and my plans for it and you can tell me where to start, she said and led the way upstairs. Hermione showed them everything and told them what room would be what color. She sighed in relief when Sam took over and organized the work. Her task was to clean up downstairs with Seth's help, while the others would start repairing upstairs and clean afterwards. After having cleaned up a big part, Hermione had started cooking for the hungry boys, while the others continued to work. She had made a lot of food for all and hoped it was enough. She could always cook more. Guys, lunch is ready. Come down to eat, she called, and not long after she could hear them running on the stairs. I hope it is enough and that it tastes good, she said. She really had made a lot. As much as she would have cooked for the Weasleys, that were notorious for eating a lot. Wow, this looks great, Jared says and elbowed Sam a little. It also looks like you cooked enough, Jacob commented. Well, I saw how much you ate at breakfast the other day, so I thought to make enough, Hermione said, glad about the comments they said. She sat down at the table and started to put food on their plates. Hermione looked at the cramped table and decided she would need a much bigger one. She hoped the boys or Cullens or even her friends from Britain would visit her often. It tastes delicious. If you let us, we will come to eat often, Sam said as he tasted the food. I am glad to hear. You are welcome to visit in the future, Hermione replied. They ate, talked and joked around with each other for a bit. Afterward the boys went to work again while Hermione cleaned up the table and dishes. As she was almost finished, she heard steps on the stairs. Sam stood there and looked at her. See, can I help you? She asked him a bit unsure. Hermione, can we talk? I would like to know a few things, he said. She swallowed a bit but nodded. Do you want a coffee? Tea? She asked him. Coffee is good. She nodded and made him coffee and herself a tea. She then sat down in front of him and waited. What did you want to know? She finally asked. I asked myself all those years, why did you leave that morning? Did I? He asked but was interrupted. No, you did nothing wrong. It had been always the plan that I would go back to England that day. I was in a hurry that morning, since my friend was waiting for me. I forgot to leave you a notice. I am very sorry. I tried looking for you, but couldn't find you and then. Before she could say more, there was a knock on the door. She frowned, looked apologizing to Sam and stood up to open the door. Sam had thought the whole morning about the talk with Hermione and what to say. After lunch, when the others were working, he finally pulled himself together. He had asked her for a talk, and she had agreed. He had listened to her explanation, and he felt a bit of relief. Ha hadn't done anything wrong. It had just been the wrong moment. She had even looked for him. That made him feel happy. But before she could finish and he say anything, there was a knock on the door. It was then when he smelled them. He could barely hold back the growl. The leeches were at the door. At least a few of them. He heard one of them say, Good afternoon, Hermione. We are here to help. Sam looked to them and saw one of the leeches, the major married to the pixie-like woman, hugging Hermione. This time he could not hold back his growl. The vampire looked at him and grinned slightly. Sam glared at him and stood up. Now Sam saw that the major had his wife with him. Cousin, I see you already have help here. But a bit more can't hurt, right? He said, smirking slightly at Sam. Don't play dumb. You knew I had help, I told you. But come in. I am sure we can find something for you to do, Hermione said, sighing, and let them trough. Sam, I am sure you know my cousin Jasper Hale and his girlfriend Alice Cullen. And you too know Sam Yulee. All nodded and stayed silent. Sam heard Hermione huff. You all be civil, this is my home, and all are welcome here, she reprimanded them all. Sam looked at her a bit sheepish and nodded. You are right, it is your land, not ours, so you chose. Now that he thought about it, how come she had so much money? Did she take out a loan? He would have to help her pay it back. At that moment his packmates came down. Seth went to greet the two newcomers, while Jared and Jacob nodded to them and went to Sam. We finished the repairs upstairs. We can paint now, Jared told him. Then we came at the right moment. We can help paint, Alice exclaimed, clapping her hands together. I already know which room we can work on. Let's go, darling, Alice said and pulled her husband upstairs. Is that okay? Jacob said, unsure. Yes, they know what is to do and how I want it. You can start downstairs with repairs. I can go up and paint as well, Hermione replied. Sam nodded. That is a good idea, you can go. I will tell them what to do. Hermione nodded and went upstairs as well. And, did you talk with her? Jared asked curiously. Yes, but we were interrupted. They came before I could ask more. But she looked for me, Sam replied with a grin. He did not bother to hide from his pack, they knew what was going on from the changes. But he did try not to think about the night he spent with Hermione when in wolf form. That is good, but you still should talk to her more. Maybe go up and paint with her, Jared suggested. Sam shook his head. No, they are up there too. Besides, I need to work on some things down here. I will talk to her when she is settled in. We are in no rush. She will stay here, live here, so I will give her time, he said and grabbed some tools and went to work. He looked forward to spend time with his imprint, even if he was not looking forward to telling her about their pack, imprints and her being his imprint and the love of his life. He really hoped she would take it well. At least she knew that they had chemistry and she seemed to be attracted to him. He just hoped everything would turn out fine. The 19th of August 2006, between Forks and La Push, Washington. Hermione was up in her bedroom painting her room. Her heart was still pounding as she thought about her interrupted talk with Sam. He had wanted to talk and wanted to know things and she had prepared herself to tell him the things, but then they had been interrupted. And now she needed to pull her courage together again and try to tell him again. It was kind of frustrating. She still did not know how to tell him about Shay. And then there was her magic as well. They seemed to know about vampires, so maybe telling them about her magic would not be so difficult. She still needed to ask Jasper about that. Then there was also her Teddy. But why should she tell him about him? Why was she so afraid of telling him? With trepidation she realized that she was afraid of his rejection. She wanted to try to be with him. But even if he wanted his daughter, it would not mean that he would want another child who was not his. Or want her. All the thoughts she had thought had gone away years ago were coming back and she started to panic. At that moment Jasper came in and took the brush from her hand. He sat with her on the floor and took her in his arms so she could lean her head against his shoulder. What is the matter? I can sense your panic, he asked her, worry in his voice. I worry, she confessed. About what? Telling him. Telling whom? Telling Sam. My darling niece, don't let me pull everything out your nose. Tell me what the matter is, he told her. Sam is Shay's father. I must tell him. But I am scared. What if he doesn't want her? What if doesn't want anything to do with Teddy? And what if he does not want me? You are insecure now, but usually you are so strong. It is strange to feel this, Jasper told her with a frown. I will hurt him if he hurts you. But why are you so worried? Tell me the whole story. And so she told him what had happened on her last trip to the United States, how she had met Sam. He listened to her without judgment and just held her. And even if he was hard and cold, she felt comforted by his embrace. He seemed to realize something as he listened to her talking and worrying. You like him? What? She squeaked and looked at him in surprise. You like him? He repeated without hesitation. We just spend one evening and one night together and a lunch with his friends today. Why do I feel this way? This should not be possible, and then I am scared he will not want the children and me, she explained further. Hermione, I know Sam a bit. And I don't think he would abandon his daughter. He is a good man. You should talk to him. Even if he does not want to be with you or can't be with you, he will want to know his daughter. But you won't know unless you talk to him. Do it when we all go home. Invite him for dinner, so you don't worry for too much, he told her. She groaned but nodded and said, I know. I am still nervous though. I know. But you are calmer than before I came over. Can I leave you alone to continue painting, or do you want me to stay? Hermione took a deep breath and shook her head. I will be fine. Go back to Alice, she told him with a small smile. She stood up again and took the brush back. Jasper, thank you, she told him before he left her and closed the door behind him with a smile and a, you're welcome. She then continued to paint and to stop her many thoughts by playing some music and singing along. Sam and the others had started the repairs downstairs, which were less than on the upper floor. He had finished instructing his packmates when the vampire came down. "Do you have a moment? I need to talk to you," he requested when he stopped in front of him. Sam was surprised by this and raised an eyebrow and then frowned. He nodded to the door and followed the leech outside. "What do you want?" he asked, his arms crossed over his chest when they were away enough from the house so his pack could not hear them. "You were told Hermione is family." "Yes, but I did not have the chance yet to ask her how exactly." "She is a descendant of my sister. Human sister. You seem to like even love her," he said thoughtfully, and then his eyes widened. "You imprinted on her. It is the same as some of your other pack members feel for their partners." "Very well then. If you hurt her, I will hurt you. You will have to live with having vampires in your life now, because I will not leave her. You two need to talk. I planned to before I was interrupted. You know about imprints and know I would never hurt her," he growled at him. "Good. Tell her as soon as possible. And don't be too shocked about what she will tell you," he warned him and disappeared back into the house. What did he mean by that? What could she tell him that would shock him more than her being related to vampires? Frowning and in thought, he returned to the others and tried to immerse himself into the work. Unfortunately, he had 3 noisy friends with him. "What did he talk to you about?" Jared asked him. "He knows. He warned me not to hurt her since she is a descendant of his human sister. And he told me to talk to her. As if I had not planned to do so," he told them, slightly frustrated. Seth started to laugh. The others looked at him, as if he had gone crazy. "What is wrong with you?" Jacob asked him, irritated. "Sorry, just haha, I can't believe it, you guys. Sam will be practically in laws with the Cullens," Seth managed to say before he laughed again. Sam blanched at the thought and saw the other 2 pale as well. But then they too started to laugh and he growled frustratedly at them. "Go back to work," he growled, and they did so, still laughing slightly. What were the great spirits and ancestors thinking? He had met his imprint before he had even turned, and now, she was related to vampires. At least he had met her again. He still had a chance with her. Still, he really questioned the sanity of the spirits. With a sigh, he went back to work. The 19th of August 2006, La Push, Washington. Hermione had managed to paint her whole room in the afternoon. She stretched contentedly and made her way downstairs. "Hey guys, how is it going? I managed to finish my bedroom upstairs. I think we will call it a day and finish up tomorrow," she asked and suggested. At that moment Jasper and Alice came down as well. "We finished painting the base color in the other rooms and will be back to finish it tomorrow," Alice said as she gave her a hug. "We will go home now and return tomorrow after lunch," she informed her, waved at the others and left with her husband. Jasper looked at her once more and also at Sam before he went outside as well. The other guys started to finish up and put their tools away. "We will be by tomorrow as well," Jared told her with a grin and left out the door with Jacob and Seth. Sam followed them, but Hermione stopped him at the door. "Would you like to stay for dinner and talk some more?" she asked him. She felt a bit uncertain if it was the right time, but Jasper had said she should talk to him soon. He looked at her kind of surprised and rubbed his neck. "I actually wanted to ask you if you wanted to come to the bonfire tonight. The tribe does these get together from time to time. There will be legends and stories told around the fire and there will be food too. Do you want to come with me?" Hermione blinked, surprised. It was not what she had in mind, but she liked the idea. And she was curious about the stories. Maybe she could find out about how they seemed to know about the vampires. "I would love to. Where should I meet you? I will come and get you, if that is fine with you." "Yes, that works for me. Then I will see you in about an hour." Sam smiled at her and nodded. She felt her knees go slightly weak at this. With a smile of her own, she waved at him and closed the door behind him. She would see what they would get to talk about later. Maybe she would tell him about Shay. But she would do her best to enjoy herself beforehand. Sam was nervous as he drove back to Hermione's house to get her for the bonfire. Billy was going to tell the tribe stories, so she would be able to learn the legends. And then he could try telling her that the stories were actually true and that she was his imprint. That was exactly why he was so nervous, her reaction. Would she accept him or reject him? Be afraid of him even? He parked the car and then went up to her door and knocked. There was no use waiting and agonizing even more on it. Not long after and the door opened, Hermione standing before him seemingly freshly showered and changed. He couldn't help but smile at her. Ready to hear tribal stories and legends, he asked her and motioned to his car. She too smiled at him and made his heartbeat quicken. Yes, just let me grab my jacket, then we can go. He nodded and waited for her, then led her to his car and opened the door for her. It was worth it as she smiled in thanks. He loved her smile, and it was even better when she smiled at him. He too got in the car and drove to the beach where the bonfire was held. He was glad his packmates could not hear his thoughts at the moment, they teased him enough already. But now he could understand the other imprinted guys better. Hermione was everything to him now. He wanted her to be happy and to be close to her. Sam looked to the side and smiled at her. You know, I am really glad you came here and live here now. I thought a lot about you since our night together. I hope we can spend more time together and get to know each other more, he blurted out while driving, not able to hold back these feelings. He could see her biting her lip and blush softly and he could barely hold back a groan at the sight of that. I hope so too. I thought about you a lot as well. That is actually what I wanted to talk with you about. There is something you need to know but I don't really know how to start telling you, she told him. He beamed as he heard this from her. It sounded very promising, but he did not like her tone at the end. She seemed scared or nervous about the thing she wanted to tell him, and he did not like that he made her feel that way. Before he could say much, they arrived at the beach. He got out of the car and opened her door for her. I too have something to tell you. We will after the bonfire, okay, he reassured her. She looked up at him, searching for something in his eyes. Then she sighed softly and nodded. With a soft smile she said, Fine, we will talk after the bonfire. He smiled back at her and out of his need to touch her, he offered her his hand to hold. Seeing her hesitate he almost pulled back, but then she took his hand, and he could feel her small hand and soft skin. Smiling down at her he led her to the bonfire and the other people who were gathered there. Hermione felt her cheeks warm as he smiled down at her. She felt a bit nervous attending the bonfire with him. It felt like a sacred ritual or something, but he had invited her, and she did feel curious about their stories and legends. Following him, she greeted the boys she knew and some of their partners she had met at the beach. She also could see Billy and Sue, who she had met at Bella's wedding. Sam led her to them, and she greeted them respectfully. Thank you for having me here, she thanked Billy. You are very welcome. I heard you will be our neighbor, so it is only right that we welcome you to our reservation. Feel free to come here as often as you like. I will, thank you. I am excited to hear your legends later on. Good to hear young ones are still interested in old history. We will start as soon as everybody is here. So why don't you and Sam go and find yourself a comfortable spot, Billy suggested with a friendly smile. She nodded and looked to Sam. Did you want to sit somewhere specifically? Like near your friends? She asked him. He did not reply but pulled her towards a spot near the fire and sat down. She sank next to him and sat on the sand. It was warm from the fire. Blushing she realized that she was still holding Sam's hand, but since he had not let her go, she did not let go either. A girl, she thought her name was Emily, came by and offered them some hot dogs to eat and Hermione took one, feeling a bit hungry. For that she had to let go of his hand unfortunately. She saw him take 3 hot dogs and raised an eyebrow at him. What, I eat a lot, did you not realize that? He said laughingly. She shook her head chuckling softly. I almost forgot. Why do boys and men tend to eat so much? My friends back in England eat a lot as well and I could never understand growing up, she said. They eat as much as we do. Really, I thought that was only us, he said smirking. No, Ron and the boys in his family eat about as much as you do. All the boys from my school ate pretty much. Except maybe Harry, but I think that is because he had so little growing up. I think I remember you telling me about them. They are your best friends, right? And you told me you had broken up with one of them, was it this Harry? Sam asked her. She was positively surprised that he remembered what she had told him that evening years ago. They had had a few drinks at that point. Yes, they are my friends. But I dated Ron for a bit, not Harry. He is like a brother to me, and I am friends with his wife. Who is Ron's sister, by the way? Ron and I are still friends, but not as good as before the breakup. She tried explaining her relationships. I can understand that. Leah and I dated a while, but I broke it off before I went traveling. We are still friends, but it is not the same as before. He sympathized with her. Oh, I think I remember us talking about it and commiserating about our breakups, she said, laughing a bit. He too laughed and confirmed. Yes, we did. They smiled at each other, but before they could talk more, Billy started talking. The 19th of August 2006, La Push, Washington. Hermione was lost in thoughts as Sam walked beside her along the beach. It made so much sense now. This was an old wolf shifter tribe, and they too seemed to have been left in the dark about magic. She really needed to talk to Kingsley about this, or Makusa. They did not get along well with vampires, or cold ones like they called them. But at least they had a treaty with Jasper's family. Had the magic reawakened since the vampire family had moved back here? In her research it was mentioned that they had lived here at some point and moved back here a few years ago. It would make sense with the stories she had just heard. But were the people here able to transform into wolves? Was that the thing Sam wanted to tell her? Wait, would Shay turn into a wolf as well if she met vampires? Before her thoughts could spiral anymore, Sam pulled her out of her head by asking, "Is everything all right? You are quiet. Did you like the stories? Did they scare you?" He was frowning at her. He almost seemed worried about her. She shook her head. "I am all right. Sorry, I was just thinking about the legends. They are very interesting. The spirit warriors that turn into giant wolves remind me a bit of werewolves, but then they would be able to transform only at full moons. I wonder if the transformation hurts. Werewolf transformations always look very painful," she thought out loud. "It doesn't hurt," Sam replied. He then looked at her shocked and she smirked. "I knew it. You were one of them, right? I am glad it does not hurt," she said triumphantly and then smiled relieved. His eyes widened even more at her reaction. I did not expect this reaction. You don't seem surprised that much. Did you know before?" he asked her, frowning at her. He seemed a bit unsure of the situation. "I heard one of the boys calling the Cullens leeches. So, I wondered how they knew of vampires. The stories explained it, but you just confirmed my assumptions," she said, smiling up at him. You are so calm about this. Is it because of the vampires?" he asked her and corrected himself as she narrowed her eyes at him. "Partially, yes. I know that there are things a normal human being would not believe, vampires being just one of many such things. Since you are one of such beings as well, I can tell you. I am not an ordinary human myself. I am what you would call a witch." "A what?" he said loudly, looking at her in disbelief. It was her turn to frown now. "I am a witch. I can do magic. Trough a wand. Is it so hard to believe that there are wizards and witches when there are vampires and shifters?" she asked him. He was looking at her with an open mouth. "I will show you mine if you show me yours," she suggested, after waiting for a while on a reaction from him. Finally he blinked and looked at her. "You are serious? You mean it? You want me to shift and then you show me your magic?" he asked her with a frown. "Yes, you shift for me and I will show you some of my magic," she said with a grin. He now too started to grin slowly. "Okay, I agree, but then you have to tell me more about this witch thing. I am curious. Were you born as one or did you, I don't know, by a cursed artifact or something?" he asked while taking of his shirt. She looked at his chest mesmerized. He was so good looking. But then she shrieked surprised, blushed and turned around. He had started to pull down his pants as well. "What are you doing?" "I don't want to rip my clothes while shifting so I pulled them off," was his reply, and she could hear him chuckling. "Wait, you shift naked?" she asked dumbfounded. "Well, yes, or we rip our clothes and that gets expensive fast. So we hide some clothes around and get dressed or undressed when we shift." "Wow, that seems really bothersome. Why don't your clothes shift with you? That would be more practical," Hermione thought out loud. Hers did when she transformed into her animagus form. "I have no idea. Count to 10 and then turn around, if you want to see me in my wolf form. If you want to see me naked then you can turn beforehand." She could almost hear the smirk in his voice. She counted loud to 10 and then turned around slowly. Before her stood a giant black wolf. She smiled and stepped closer. a hand reaching out to touch his fur. He stepped closer too and nuzzled into her hand, which made her giggle. His fur was surprisingly soft as she ran her hand through it. "For a wolf you were really big," she commented, only barely reaching his shoulder. She patted him for a bit more before she stepped back and turned around. "You can change back now. And to answer your questions from before, I was born a witch. But I only found out when I turned 11. My parents were non-magical humans we call Muggle, so it was a surprise to be invited to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry," she explained while she could hear his clothes rustle as he put them back on. "You went to a school for witches. How was that?" "You told me about the boarding school, but left out the magic part," he said as he stepped around her. "Yes, and it was magical most of the time. I loved going to classes and learning more," she said, smiling at him, leaving out the darker parts of her school life. "Most of the time?" he asked, seemingly catching on. "I might tell you another time. Now did you want to see magic?" she asked him and avoided his question. She held her chin in her hand and tapped her finger against her lip in thought. What would be impressive to see, to make one believe in magic? Well, he already did kind of believe since he had just transformed into a giant wolf. "Let us start with this one, it is one of my favorites. Avis." With her words she had pulled out her wand out of her sleeve and had swished it in the air. Sam's mind was still reeling. He had not imagined this situation, not in his wildest dreams and hopes. Hermione had just accepted him to be a wolf and was now showing him her magic. He wanted to know so much more about her. But he first needed to tell her about his imprinting on her. He hoped that would go over as good as this had. Before that he wanted to see her magic. He wondered what all she could do with that stick she had just pulled out of her sleeve. His eyes widened as yellow canaries burst out of the tip of her wand and started circling around them. She laughed at his expression and it warmed his heart to hear her laughter. "This is amazing. What else can you do?" he asked curiously as he could not help but step closer to her. "Oh, a lot. It would take a while to show everything. But I can conjure up things, make them vanish, repair things, change them, brew potions with different effects, and it goes on." "Do you wonder about anything specific?" She tried to explain what her abilities were. "I don't know. Can you fly on brooms?" he asked more as a joke than being serious. "Technically yes, but I am not very good at it and I am a bit afraid of heights, so I prefer not to. But Harry and Ginny are very good flyers. They both played in our Quidditch house team. It is a sport played on brooms," she explained. "You have a sport played on brooms?" he asked and listened raptly to her explanation. It was a bit confusing to follow it, but he thought he understood the important parts. "It sounds interesting. I would love to see a match once. And I am sure most of the other guys would too. They will be amazed at what you will tell and show them," he said with a smile. He should tell her now. He needed to tell her, right? Nervously he took her dainty hands in his large ones. He caressed over her knuckles and could feel her shiver. "I still need to tell you something," he started and could see her raise an eyebrow. "There is more." "What? Can you transform into a dolphin as well?" she asked, laughing slightly. He had to laugh as well and relaxed a bit. "There is more, but no transforming into other animals. The transformation into a wolf is not the only thing affecting us as spirit warriors or shifters, whatever we are called. Our physical appearance change when our gene awakens and we are able to transform at will or with strong emotions. And we imprint man. This is difficult to explain. I don't know how the others did it," he tried to explain and ran a hand through his hair frustrated. "Imprinting like how chicks see the first living thing as their mother?" Hermione asked, looking at him confused. "No, well, kind of. It is not the first person or as a mother. You could say we recognize our soulmate. When we meet that person and really see them, the whole world shifts, even gravity, and that person is the only one holding us to Earth. We can be anything for them, siblings, friends, partners, everything that person needs us to be, we will be. Jard and Emily are like that. But there are others in the pack. And for me, you are that person. You are my imprint, my soulmate," he managed to tell her. She was looking at him with wide eyes and slack jaw. "I what?" she squeaked. "You are my imprint. The moment I saw you on the beach my world shifted and I knew. It made so much sense since I could not get you out of my mind all these years. When we met, I had not yet awakened or I would have imprinted on you then. He waited with bated breath for her reaction. The 19th of August 2006, La Push, Washington. Hermione's mind was spinning crazily. He had just told her she was his soulmate. How could this be? And was it accurate? Could she trust this imprinting? She did feel drawn to him. Her magic always seemed to call out to him. Even that night 3 years ago, she had felt it now that she thought about it. So, was it possible they really were soulmates and she had just ignored the feeling? He had said he had thought about her a lot and so had she, and not only because of Shay. Merlin, her heart was soaring and beating fast from happiness that he seemed to like her and want her in his life, and at the same time she was so scared. What if he would not accept her with her children? Maybe he would Shay, since she was theirs, but what about Teddy? She could not just leave him. He was her son too. She took deep breaths, and then squeezed his hands, that were still holding hers. I am not sure what to say, this is moving so fast. I don't know what being your imprint entails. She tried telling him what she was feeling. She held up a hand before he could interrupt her. But I do feel similar. My magic, it seems to call out for you and I feel drawn to you. Before she could say any more, she was in his arms and his lips were crashing on hers, kissing her longingly. She gasped and slung her arms around him, returning the kiss after the first shock. It felt like coming home. Like her longing had finally been fulfilled. It felt so good. She moaned into the kiss and he used that chance to push his tongue into her open mouth. He made her forget her everything for a moment. She just enjoyed this feeling and melted against him. But after a while she had to come out of it again and pushed against his chest. Panting, she looked up to him with flushed cheeks. That was even better than I remembered, Sam told her with a wolfish grin and leaned his forehead against hers. He too was slightly out of breath, and she could not help but chuckle at his comment. I agree, but we won't repeat last time yet. I still need to know what being an imprint means to you and what you expect from me, and I also still have things to tell you before we can go any further than this, she told him clearly. She saw him nod, but before he could explain, there was a howl in the distance. He cursed and looked apologetically at her. I am so sorry, but I have to go. I forgot the time. It is late and I am supposed to begin patrolling now. We will talk more tomorrow. I will come by with the guys to continue with the repairs. I am sorry to cut this short, he said and cupped her cheek in his hand, caressing her. Hermione sighed and nodded. Fine, we will talk more tomorrow, she told him with a soft smile. He smiled down at her and kissed her softly. You are everything to me. Don't have any doubts about that, he reassured her before he let her go. Her smile grew bigger and she nodded. All right, now go, before they come looking for you. I will wait for you at my house tomorrow, she said. He grinned at her and then jogged away towards the woods. She watched him go and waved as he turned back to her, still grinning. As he disappeared from her view, she sighed. She still had to tell him tomorrow. She just hoped she would have a chance to before her kids came. On the other hand, then she would not be able to avoid the topic anymore, and he neither. A loud, happy-sounding howl was to be heard that was followed by other howls. He seemed to have met up with his pack. Smiling, she disapparated to her home. Sam was overjoyed. As soon as he reached the woods, he stripped and shifted, then let out a happy howl and ran to the treaty line. His head was bombarded with thoughts from some of the others who were still in their wolf form. How did it go? Did she believe you? Did she run away? Has she agreed to date you? Are you together now? You even kissed. Ew. I don't want to know how she feels in your arms or what else you want to do to her. He growled at his packmates when he reached them. Silence. It went well. We will talk more tomorrow. Try not to see my thoughts and I will try to keep them for myself, all right? Colin and Jared, you can go sleep. Embry and I will take over. Fine, but you will tell me more tomorrow before we go over to her house, Jared let him know before he transformed. Now it was quieter with only his half-brother left. I am happy for you. You found your imprint and she accepted it. Was she scared about you being a wolf? I know Emily was at first. Thank you. I am too. I now know why I missed her so much all these years since I last saw her. Something in me already knew, but no, she was not afraid. She already knew about the leeches and actually pieced it together before I could tell her. I was surprised at how well she took it, he let Embry know. He managed to hold back the information that she was magical. It was her place to tell his pack, he did not want to ruin this surprise for her and them. Let's go patrol. You take the east side and I the west. Embry nodded and ran off. And so did Sam. He could not wait for the next day when he could see Hermione again. So he managed to tell you, was Jasper's comment the next day, when he and Alice came over to Hermione's house to help with the house. Yes, he told me. He also knows about me being a witch. But I haven't managed to tell him about Shay and Teddy. He had to go patrol before I could, Hermione told them and blushed softly. Alice smiled knowingly at her while Jasper was frowning slightly, probably trying to read her feelings. You will tell him, right? Jasper asked unsure. Of course I will. I will not go further with him, if he does not accept both of them. It will hurt, but I won't abandon my children, neither of them, she said fiercely, hurt he would think so lowly of her. He held up his hands, and tried to calm her down. I did not mean to offend you. It was just a question. I know you both have a lot to talk about. I am glad you managed to get some of it out. Now that he knows you are a witch we can get things done faster here, right? Then you can see your children sooner. I know you miss them very much, he tried to explain and change the subject a bit. Hermione thought for a moment and then smiled nodding. Yes, you are right. I now can tell the others too and should be able to finish sooner with a bit of magic. Maybe I can even tell Harry he can bring them over tomorrow if we work fast, she exclaimed. Then let's get to work, Jasper agreed. And so they did. They got a lot done before Sam and the others got there. 21th August 2006, between Forks and La Push, Washington. Hermione rubbed her face with exasperation. She had tried to find a quiet moment the day before to tell Sam about his daughter and Teddy. She really had tried but had not managed to tell him in the end. She hadn't even managed to tell the others about her magic yet. All were so engrossed in finishing up the house and then the boys had been called away. Apparently, there had been a rouge vampire on their land, and they had to take care of it. Sam had called her afterwards to reassure her that everyone was fine, and the vampire had been taken care of. Instead of managing to tell Sam, she had at least been able to call Harry. He would be dropping off her children any minute now. She was so happy to see her children again but also felt dreadful that she had not told Sam yet and still was unsure how she should tell him. Her heart thudded loudly in her chest from excitement and fear as she paced the floor. There was a knock at the door, and she froze. She was not expecting anyone, not at the door. Slowly she went over and opened it. A sigh of relief left her as she saw Jasper standing there. He chuckled at her. A feeling told me that you would be driving yourself crazy if left alone, so I came by to keep you company until Harry and the children would arrive, he told her and entered as she stepped aside. Closing the door behind him she nodded in agreement. I actually was. Thank you for coming by. How is your family doing? Any news from the newlyweds? She asked to distract herself. They arrived safely at the Isle and are enjoying themselves. The others are doing fine. Some of us went hunting. I went yesterday, since I wanted to meet my great niece today. That's great. You will see, they both are wonderful. I am sure they are. Now sit down and I will make you tea. Should I put some of that calming potion in it you told me about? Jasper said and walked around the kitchen aisle to turn on the kettle. He pulled out a mug from a cupboard and tea from another and prepared the tea how she liked it. Thank you. And yes, that probably is a good idea. I don't want them to feel how nervous I am when they arrive. When the tea was done, she sat down with the mug in her hands and slowly sipped on it. She had just managed to calm down when there was a loud crack behind the house. They are here, she said excitedly and jumped up to run outside. Opening the back door she squealed happily, as she saw Shay, Teddy and Harry. My babies, she called out and rushed to them. Mommy. Both cried at the same time and stopped crying. Oh, I missed you so much. We missed Mummy too. She took both in her arms and snuggled them close. She kissed both of them repeatedly until they were giggling and squealing in happiness. Glad to see how appreciated I am. Not even a hello. Hermione looked up from her treasures and saw Harry grinning at her. Harry, you know I love you and am grateful for what you have done, she said with a smile and put her children down to give him a hug. Sure, that is why you decided to move to the other side of the world, he said sarcastically and hugged her back. Harry, I know. We talked about it, and I understand. I will still miss you and come visit often. I am the godfather of these two, you can't get rid of me. I hope your many great uncle treats you well at least. Who is that? He reassured her and then looked behind her. Cher turned around and smiled at Jasper. That is my great uncle, Jasper. Jasper, this is my best friend, Harry Potter. And these here are Teddy and Shay, she introduced them. To her surprise, Teddy began growling and hiding behind her legs as Jasper came closer. Teddy, what is it? She knelt beside him with furrowed brows. He smells bad. Dangerous, Teddy said and continued growling. He also started crying when Hermione wanted to move to Jasper, to show that he was not dangerous, at least not to them. It might be because of his father. He was a werewolf. No. He smells bad to me too, Jasper explained. That's probably it. Teddy, he won't hurt you, I promise. He is a good and kind vampire. He is my uncle. Hermione tried to calm down the toddler. I know you are scared and that is okay. Look Teddy, Uncle Harry is hugging the good vampire. He is nice, right? Harry tried to tell Teddy as well and was hugging Jasper now. He looked at the vampire expectantly and Hermione had to hold back a laugh at the picture they made. Yes, I am nice and would never hurt you or your family, little one. I will do everything to protect you, Jasper said, nodding and hugging Harry back. Teddy seemed to slowly calm down and was still hiccuping a bit. He is a good bad smell? He asked hesitantly. Hermione could not hold back a laugh and nodded. Yes Teddy, he is a good bad smell. And his family is as well, you will meet them another time. Do you want to go say hi to Jasper? Okay. The little boy sniffled and went up to Jasper. Hello, I am Teddy. Nice to meet you, Teddy said shyly. Hello Teddy, it is nice to meet you too. I am Hermione's uncle, but you can call me Uncle Jasper too, if you want. Hermione smiled as she saw how gentle the vampire was with her child, even kneeling to look less imposing. Shay, do you want to say hi too? Shay, where is Shay? Sam was walking along the edge of the beach, some of the guys walking slightly behind him. Jared and Paul were teasing Seth about some girl he'd seen in Forks, while he was lost in thoughts about his favorite person, Hermione. He felt very happy that she too liked him. The day before he had managed to kiss her a few times, even making her flushed and breathless once. Unfortunately, they had been called away in the early evening, right after they had finished the repairs at her house. He had wanted to spend more time with his imprint and have that conversation Hermione seemed to want to have with him. He was unsure what it was about, but it couldn't be that bad, right? She had said she liked him, she knew of his shifting abilities, and he knew of her magic. What could be worse than that? As they neared a cluster of driftwood logs, Sam stopped abruptly. What was that? Did you hear that? He asked the others. All three quieted down and listened. There was a soft crying and sniffling sound. Someone is crying over there, said Jared, pointing towards the logs. Slowly they went closer and rounded the driftwood. Before them sat a little girl crying and sniffling all alone. She could not be older than 2, had russet skin and dark unruly curls on her head. Her eyes were big and brown, glistening with tears. Her lips wobbled as she tried to stop crying. Hey there, why are you crying? Sam asked softly, crouching down to her level. The girl looked up at him, tear-streaked face trembling with confusion and slight fear. Where did she come from? Jared asked, his voice hushed. She is way too young to be out here alone, Seth added. Sam scanned the beach, looking for any sign of a parent or guardian. It's okay, we want to help you, we won't hurt you, Sam reassured her gently. Where are your parents? I lost. Came to Mummy. Then Teddy crying. I go away, saw Butterfly. Then was here. No Mummy, no Teddy, no Uncle Harry, she tried to explain with a shaky voice. Okay, who is your mummy? He asked patiently. Mummy is Mummy, she replied confused, and her bottom lip trembled again. Sam panicked a little, not wanting to upset the little girl more. Don't worry, we will find her for you, he reassured her and picked her up into his arms. Think she wandered off from tourists? Someone's gotta be looking for her, Paul said, frowning. I don't think so, look at her skin. It looks like ours. She should be a child of the tribe. But I don't know her or who could be her parents. Maybe another tribe then, Jared guessed. What is your name, little one? Sam asked the toddler in his arms. Shay longer when mummy angry. Shay, my name's Sam, this is Paul, Jared and Seth. We will help you find your mummy and daddy, okay. Shay no daddy. Find mummy, brother Teddy and Uncle Harry. Okay, we will find them. What do you mean no daddy? Don't you have a daddy? The little child shook her head, which made her curls bounce around. Don't have daddy, only mummy. Granny Weasley says mummy irresponsible. She sleep with bad man. So Shay no daddy, she tried to explain as best as she could. Seth and the others snorted at her comment. Sam on the other hand froze. Uncle Harry, Granny Weasley, weren't they names he had heard from Hermione? Shay, how old are you? Shay soon too, she exclaimed and held up 2 fingers. Sam's heart pounded as he looked down at the little girl in his arms. Her resemblance to Hermione hit him like a tidal wave. The timing, the features. Could she be? He bent down a little and took a deep breath near her neck. It was unmistakable. He could sense a mixture of Hermione and himself on the little one. He stumbled slightly, the truth hitting him hard. She was his. Hermione had had their daughter after that fateful night. She had told him she had tried to find him. She had wanted to tell him something. Was this it? Sam, are you okay? Seth asked hesitantly. Yes, I go back to the others. I need to go see Hermione. What about the girl? Paul asked confused. She is Hermione's. What? Came from all 3. And I think I am the father, he added quietly. They exclaimed even louder this time, scaring the little one in his arms. I need to talk to Hermione. I will let you know later. Go back, he told them and started walking to Hermione's house. His thoughts were all muddled up and he tried to converse with the small girl. His small girl. His imprint had given him a daughter. He felt immeasurable happiness but also insecure and unprepared. He was a father, but he did not really know how to be one. He knew he did not want to be like his father, who had left him and his mother. His heart hurt at the thought that Hermione had to raise their daughter alone the last 2 years. Suddenly there was a shout, and he stopped in his tracks. Shay, you bad wolf, put my sister down. There was a little boy before him, trembling in fear but also glaring at him. Teddy, Shay exclaimed in his arms. Confused he crouched down, making himself less imposing. How do you know I am a wolf? He asked surprised. I can smell it. You smell like a wolf. And am like Shay, the boy said now confused as well. Sam's heart skipped a beat. He had not been expecting this. At least he had stopped trembling and glaring at him. You can smell all that. Yes, I smell lots of things. Mummy says it's because I'm special. Sam's brows furrowed. A 3-year-old with an enhanced sense of smell. That wasn't normal, but he should be used to it by now. He leaned closer towards the boy and took a deep breath, trying to smell him. You are a wolf too? He asked surprised. He smelled like a wolf, but it was a bit different. Less strong than his pack and slightly prickly. Mummy says I'm a metamorph meta something. He frowned, frustrated by the word, and she says I have wolf in me too, from my daddy. From your daddy? Teddy straightened up a bit and pushed out his chest with pride. My first daddy. Mummy told me about him. He was a hero. He was a werewolf. My first mummy was a meta something. I am both. Sam's mind reeled. At least no, he knew that the boy was not biologically Hermione's. He had been confused for a moment there. Knowing what he knew about Hermione thought, she treated him like a son. He called her mummy after all. He really needed to talk to her. Before Sam could say more, Teddy took a step towards him and reached out his arms to Shay. Give Shay back. She is my sister. I am not going to hurt her or you. I promise. You both are safe with me. Teddy looked at him with narrowed eyes and sniffed the air. You smell like Shay. Are you her daddy? Sam blinked in surprise. Damn, this kid was perceptive. He was not sure how to explain the situation. I am not sure, but I think I might be. I need to talk with your mummy, he said honestly. Do you like our mummy? Shay asked, looking with big shining eyes at him. Yes I do, very much, he told his daughter with a sigh. Does mummy like you too? Teddy continued. She told me she does. Yes, why are you asking? Both children looked at each other and then back at him with large pleading eyes. "Will you take care of Mummy and be our daddy?" both said at the same time. He almost choked and had to cough a bit. I want to. And I will try my best. But I need to talk with your mummy first." Just then a familiar voice called out, "Shay! Teddy!" Hermione came running down the beach, her face pale with panic. When she saw them, relief flooded her features and she doped to the ground, now kneeling in the sand. Teddy ran towards her and hugged her tightly. "I found Shay," he said proudly and pointed back at them. Hermione's eyes widened as she looked at Sam and Shay. He walked over to her slowly and handed her their daughter. "She is ours," he asked quietly. He watched as Hermione started to panic, fumbling for words. He laid calming hands on her shoulders and looked her in the eyes. Her shoulders sagged and he could see tears filling her eyes. "Sam, I wanted to tell you. I was going to, but we kept getting interrupted. I tried looking for you before, but..." "Hermione, I know, I believe you. We will talk about it. Just know that I love you and want to be there for you all, okay?" He tried to calm her down and to reassure her. "Oh Sam," Hermione managed to let out while starting to sob uncontrollably. She hugged him fiercely and he hugged her back, both the children between them. "Mummy, are you all right?" Shay asked confused and hesitantly. "Yes sweetie. Mummy is just very happy and relieved," Hermione said and wished away her tears with the back of her hand. She looked up at him and smiled softly. "We will talk, I promise. Let's go back to the house. Harry and Jasper will worry otherwise," she told them and stood up slowly, Shay in her arms. Sam nodded and did the same, taking Teddy in his arms. Together they went back to the house. 21th August 2006, Hermione's house, Washington. The walk back to Hermione's house was quiet. Sam observed Hermione and his daughter nestled against her. He could feel Teddy's stare from time to time. He smiled at the little boy in his arms. He had so many questions, it was like a whirlwind in his mind. The house came into view and Sam could see two figures pacing back and forth in front of the porch. He could see that one of them was Jasper, the vampire. The second one he did not recognize. Both stopped and relaxed when they saw them approaching. As they reached the porch, the stranger's eyes scanned the group, resting on Hermione and Shay, then on Sam and Teddy. His expression tightened, but his tone was polite. "Everything all right?" "Yes, Harry," Hermione said quickly. Her voice was steady, but Sam caught the tremble in her hands as she adjusted Shay's position. "I found her and Teddy with Sam, both of them calm when I arrived and no one was hurt." Harry's gaze shifted to Sam, sharp and assessing. "I see. Good thing Sam was there, then." Sam met his gaze evenly. "I would never let anything happen to them." Harry didn't reply immediately, but his expression became softer and then a bit confused. "Good. Because they mean everything to Hermione and to me." "Wait Sam, the name rings a bell, I can't place it." He looked to Hermione confused and like he was asking for her help. "He is Shay's father. Could you both take them inside? I need to talk to Sam," Hermione said, biting her lip. "Oh sure thing, I am sure you have a lot to talk about. We will go inside and get to know your uncle," Harry said and took Shay from Hermione's arms. Sam tried to put Teddy down, but the little boy seemed reluctant to let him go. "It's okay Teddy, I told you I need to talk with your mummy, right? You go in and I will be back with your mom in a bit," he reassured the toddler in his arms. Teddy still hesitated, his sharp little nose twitching as if analyzing Sam's sincerity. Finally, he nodded. "Okay, but you promise?" "Yes, I promise," Sam said firmly. Teddy then let go and walked up to Harry and then followed him inside. Jasper lingered for a moment, his golden eyes flicking between Hermione and Sam. "I will give you some privacy. Holler if you need anything," he said with his southern drawl. Then he too went inside and closed the door. Hermione turned around to Sam, arms crossed protectively. Her expression was a mix of determination and vulnerability, her lips pressed into a thin line. "Sam, he held up a hand, interrupting her as gently as possible. "Hermione, I am not angry. I need to understand. Please tell me everything from the beginning." She nodded and exhaled shakily. "Okay. Let's sit down." They moved to the porch steps and he saw her mutter something and move her stick, wand he corrected himself. Sat side by side, he waited patiently as Hermione gathered her thoughts, twisting her hands together. I didn't know I was pregnant for a while. I thought it would not be possible, since I assumed we used protection, she began softly. After that night, well, I told you I had to go back the next day and life moved quickly. I often thought about our night, wondered how you were doing when I had a break from my duties in England. I even started to look for you. It wasn't until a few weeks later when everything became clear. I thought I was feeling under the weather because of stress, but then someone suggested I was pregnant. I had a test made and it was positive. Everything changed again. Mrs. Weasley was not happy about it being out of wedlock, and she tried to push Ron and I together again. I refused and she became cold towards me. It got better again, but it isn't like before. I had to leave the Burrow, where I had been living with the Weasleys, my foster family. Fortunately, Andromeda Tonks, Teddy's grandmother, took me in. I helped her with Teddy before, since I was his godmother. Later she helped me with the pregnancy and then with Shay. Hermione took a deep breath before she continued. It was a lot. At the beginning I tried to find you. I wanted you to know and Shay to have a father. But I was not able to. Then the pregnancy got harder. It took a lot of my energy, and I am not sure I could have made it without Andromeda. Then Shay came and I had to take care of her. I just lacked the energy and time to look for you. He just took in what she was saying. He felt sorry that it had been so hard for her and that he had not been able to help her and be there for her. He was glad that this Andromeda she talked about had been there for his imprint. To his surprise he heard sniffles coming from her and he could smell salt in the air. Without hesitation he took her in his arms and held her close to him. What is it? Why are you crying? Andromeda was like a mother to me, after my parents died and Mrs. Weasley became cold. I really could not have done it without her. After the war and the death of Teddy's parents and her own husband, she took Teddy in and raised him with a bit of help from Harry and me. She was an incredible woman, strong, loving, and fiercely protective. She took me in after I left the Burrow and helped me, even after we found out I was pregnant. We took care of each other and the kids. We were a family, but she died 3 months ago. She was killed while I was out in the park with the children. Her crying got worse at that point and Sam just held her in his arms and caressed over her head and back. I am so sorry, Hermione. He wished even more to have been there for them. After she calmed down again, she continued to speak. I didn't know what to do at first. I felt lonely. I had lost my family again and I wanted to just have someone I don't know, someone who was related to me. It sounds kind of stupid. But I am glad I researched my family tree. I found Jasper and he and his family are wonderful. Thanks to that I also found you again. She looked up at him and smiled shakily at him. I did not mean to keep Shay from you, Sam. I promise you, I didn't. I really tried to find you, to tell you. When I saw Seth at the wedding, I hoped that maybe he was a relative of yours. At some point I heard your name from the guys and hoped it was you. Then I saw you at the beach and I felt so happy to have finally found you. But there were so many things to talk about. I did not know where to start and I was scared. Scared of what you would say, scared of your reaction, of your rejection of me and of my children. I swore to myself that I would only be in a relationship with someone who would accept Shay and Teddy. Sam kept holding her and caressing her back in comfort. I wish I'd known, Hermione. I wish that I could have been there for you and the kids, helped you. But I get that it was difficult for you and also that you were scared. You have been through so much on your own. But you don't have to do it alone anymore. I want to be here for you. And be here for Shay and for Teddy, for all of you and for all of it. That is, if you will have me. He could hear her breath hitch and saw her wide eyes staring at him. Do you mean that? I mean it, Sam said without hesitation and nodded. I am not going anywhere. Thank you, Sam, she whispered and leaned into him even more. We will figure it out together and take things as slow as you want them to, he reassured her. He heard her giggle and saw her smirk. Slow. We have kids together now. We are kind of doing this backwards. It looks like it. We slept together and had a daughter and then I imprinted of you and then we learned of each other's special abilities. Then we had our first non-drunken kiss. It is kind of backwards, yes, he said chuckling. He saw her bit her lip and look at him. Before she spoke, I wouldn't mind another non-drunken kiss. He grinned down at her. I wouldn't mind either, he said and caressed her cheek. Then he slid his hand to the back, grasping her neck and pulled her closer to him. I discovered liking kissing you, he said with a low voice, almost a growl. I discovered I do too, she whispered, and he could feel the warmth of her breath on his lips. He lowered his face a bit more and closing his eyes he pressed his lips on hers. It was softer this time, he took his time to savor every bit of it. Slowly he moved his lips against hers, holding her close and cradling her head in his large hand. She felt wonderfully pressed against him. He had missed this without knowing he had. A piece of him, he had not known he had lost, had found back to him finally. He licked her lips, begging for her to let him in, to let him get even closer to him. When she parted her lips, his tongue delved inside and explored her tongue and mouth. He could hear her heartbeat accelerate and her breathing hitch from time to time. He could get lost in her. He did not know much about being a good father or a good boyfriend, but for her and the children he would give his all. Jasper was leaning against the kitchen island while he watched Hermione's friend Harry pacing in the living room. Teddy and Shay were playing with some blocks on the rug in the meantime. He was trying to hear what they were talking outside, but to no avail. At least he could feel their emotions. He could feel the dread, fear and nervousness coming from his niece and confusion and a bit of hurt from the wolf. The children were feeling very happy and it made him smile. Harry on the other side felt worry. I don't like this. It's too much for her, he muttered while pacing still. She was trying to tell him for a while now, they kept being interrupted. They had a lot to talk about other than her having 2 children. It is good he finally knows. He is her imprint, he won't hurt her, Jasper said. With a frown Harry turned to him. What's an imprint, and what has it to do with this? Oh, I thought she might have told you already. But I assume it has been a lot the last few days and I am sure she would have told you soon. Does your magical world have mates? I mean soulmates. Harry blinked at him and frowned. Yes. Teddy's father and his mother were mates. Why? Well, an imprint is a soul bond or mate. Sam imprinted on Hermione the first time he saw her. He knew she was his mate. He told her a few days ago. He will not hurt her, Jasper tried to explain. He could feel more confusion from Harry. Humans or even witches or wizards don't really have mates. What the bloody hell is he then? Jasper held up his hands and tried to send calming waves to Harry. Hermione told you that my family and I are vampires, right? Yes, but I know he is not, he said pointing to the door. No, he is not. They don't like us very much. Sam is a shifter and alpha of his pack. The Quileute tribe has legends of spirit warriors that could transform into wolves to battle the cold ones, vampires. We made a treaty with them years ago, that we won't set foot on their land and won't hurt humans, and they let us in peace. Since we moved back, the shifting gene has been activated in some of the tribesmen. Sam was the first to transform into a giant wolf. And like I said, they imprint on first sight. He is a giant wolf. An alpha, and Hermione is his mate. Yes, Jasper confirmed, nodding. Harry let himself fall on the couch and laughed slightly. Bloody hell, my luck must have rubbed off on Hermione. A vampire as uncle, a part werewolf child, and now a giant wolf shifter as father of her daughter. He sat up with a jolt. Wait, that means Shay is part shifter too, right? Ha ha, this is priceless. I have to tell Ginny when I am home. A family of wolves. Harry started laughing and could not control himself. Jasper was a bit confused by it but did not pay too much attention to him, since Shay and Teddy started running around in the living room. He wanted to prevent them from harm and move as soon as one of them would slip or fall. Shay was laughing in delight as Teddy was chasing her around the couch. The door opened, revealing Hermione and Sam. There was a squealing and then Shay ran towards Sam calling out, "Daddy!" Jasper could see him freeze for a short moment and then picking up his daughter. He could feel that the wolf was overwhelmed and was also a bit scared, but he could also feel warmth and protectiveness. He could feel Teddy hesitate and saw him walk towards Sam slowly. Can I too? Jasper could see the scared and hopeful look on his tiny face. He did not need to feel them. He did feel Hermione's heart breaking a little and also Sam's, but could also feel the same feelings from the wolf when Shay had come to him. Sam picked up Teddy too and was now carrying a toddler in each arm. Of course, little man, he reassured Teddy. Why is Harry laying on the couch laughing? Hermione asked, confused. He said something about a family of wolves and that he had to tell Ginny. Sorry, I told him a bit about our situation and the pack, Jasper explained with a shrug. Hermione let out a giggle and he could feel her amusement. That explains it, she said with a chuckle. At that point he had calmed down enough that he sat up and looked at all of them. My luck rubbed off on you. Maybe it was never your luck alone but ours combined, Hermione replied with a giggle and raised eyebrow. Thank you so much for bringing them to me and having them for the last few weeks, she told him and went over to give Harry a hug. Always. He smiled and hugged her tightly. Bloody hell, it's later than I thought, he cursed when he let go. I need to go home to Ginny and the kids. I will come by another time, so we can talk more, he told Hermione. He turned to Jasper and Sam as well. It's been a pleasure meeting you. And I look forward to getting to know you in the future. You both better take good care of them, or I will make sure you wish you were dead for real. Harry, I am just warning them. I will tell Ginny. She will threaten them too when she gets to meet them, he said with a smirk. He gave Teddy and Shay a kiss to the forehead, looked at Sam and Jasper again and then disappeared out the door. I will leave you to it as well. Call me if there is anything or you need help. And let me know when you want to come by. The others want to meet Teddy and Shay as soon as possible, Jasper told Hermione and ignored Sam's growl. Waving at Sam and the little ones he too left out the door. 21th August 2006, Hermione's house, Washington. Hermione let out a deep breath as the door closed behind Jasper. The house was quieter now, save for the soft chatter of Teddy and Shay in Sam's arms. It felt surreal, a moment she had only dreamed of but never fully believed it would happen. Sam stood in the center of the room, holding both children as if it was the most natural thing in the world. His large frame dwarfed their small bodies, but his presence seemed to wrap them in safety and warmth. Hermione's heart swelled at the sight. This was only the beginning. But she was so glad that he was there with them now. He wanted them. He wanted her and her babies. She had a shot at a relationship with someone who hopefully would not break her heart and leave her and her children. She still felt a bit scared, but now that he knew most of it and she knew about her being his mate or imprint, she felt a lot more secure. She stepped closer, hesitating before speaking. Are you all right? She watched him carefully and gazed into his warm, dark eyes, losing herself in them for a moment. She noticed the weight of everything he learned today and squeezed his arm in support. Yeah, it's a lot, but I am all right. These two make it easier, he said with a steady but low voice and looked down at the children with a soft expression. Hermione smiled, thought her lips trembled slightly. They are wonderful, aren't they? They are, and so are you, he agreed, adjusting Teddy so he could hold the boy more securely. I want to know everything about them. About Shay's first words, her favorite foods, her little quirks, he said and chuckled softly as he looked at Hermione. And Teddy's too. He feels like a part of this. I like them. Hermione's heart squeezed at his words, and she had to blink back tears. Sam wanted to be a father for both of them. He wanted to include Teddy as well and it meant the world to her. Sam, she began, but her voice broke. She looked away and tried to collect herself. She felt an arm pull her to him and press her into his side. Looking up she saw that he was holding the toddlers in only one arm, them being small and his arm being large and strong. Hey, I am not going anywhere. I meant what I said. We will figure this out together. All of it, he told her softly. Thank you, she whispered, her vision blurry by unshed tears. But just to let you know, these are happy tears. I am so happy you accepted them and want to try this with me, with us. He smiled and leaned down to her, giving her a peck on the lips before she realized. A faint blush formed on her cheeks and her heart beat a little faster. She could get used to this. She liked him touching and kissing her. A squeal from Shay broke the moment and she squirmed in Sam's arms, reaching for the blocks on the floor. With a chuckle he let the toddlers go play. They started stacking the blocks to an unsteady tower, Teddy helping Shay. They are good together, Sam observed. Teddy's always been protective of her. He's been through so much already, but he has such a big heart. She stepped closer to Sam and with a bit of hesitation she leaned her head against his shoulder. She felt his arm snake around her and pull her closer to him again, his hand resting on her waist. I'd like to be there for him too. I don't want him to ever feel left out. Hermione's breath hitched. She realized just how deeply she had longed for someone to see not only Shay but also Teddy as more than just a child she cared for out of duty, or even worse, a burden. He will love that. You don't know how much it means to me to hear you say that, she said softly. He squeezed her slightly and kissed her temple before he said, you look like you could use a break, maybe even a nap. Let me take care of them for a while so you can rest. Hermione hesitated, glancing between him and the children. They will be fine, Sam assured her, his tone firm but kind. She opened her mouth to argue, but the weight of the past few days hit her all at once. All right, she relented, smiling gratefully, but if they get too rowdy. I've got this, he interrupted, his grin widening. Hermione watched as he knelt on the floor with the children, his deep laugh echoing through the room as they babbled excitedly. Her chest tightened with an unfamiliar mix of relief and hope. She headed up to her room and lay on the bed with a smile on her face. Soon after she fell asleep. Hermione stirred awake later in the evening to the sound of laughter. She sat up, blinking groggily as she tried to wake up. Then she slowly and quietly went downstairs. She took in the scene before her with a smile. Sam was sprawled on the floor with the children, Teddy perched on his back and shouting triumphantly while Shay giggled beside them. The sight warmed her heart in a way she hadn't expected. Having fun? She asked with a smirk. Sam clanked over his shoulder with a wide grin and replied, more than I thought possible. Teddy scrambled off Sam's back and ran over to Hermione, throwing his arms around her legs. Mummy, Sam's so strong. He can lift me and Shay too. Is that so? Hermione said with a chuckle, smoothing his hair and smiling down at him. Yeah, he is like giant, like Hagrid, bigger than uncles, Teddy said, his voice filled with awe. Sam chuckled as well and stood to brush of his jeans, teasing, I might have to teach him to wrestle. Hermione rolled her eyes playfully and replied, as long as he doesn't start breaking furniture. No promises, Sam said, winking. Shay toddled over then, holding her arms up to Sam. He scooped her up with ease, his face softening as she rested her head against his shoulder. She is getting sleepy. I should get them to ready for bed, Hermione said, picking Teddy up in her arms. Sam hesitated slightly. Do you mind if I help? Show me their routine. Hermione blinked, surprised by the offer. She felt her heart warm again. Of course I don't mind. I am actually glad you are showing such interest, Hermione told him with a smile. Together, they ushered the children upstairs, the quiet hum of bedtime routines filling the house. Hermione let Sam read the toddlers a story as she watched them listening raptly to his every word. She felt warm inside, looking at this scene. She had wished for this for so long. Blinking the happy tears away, she smiled blissfully. As Sam finished the story, Hermione kissed the toddlers goodnight and sent them each to their bed. Then she returned downstairs to the living room with Sam. She continued to the kitchen to make herself some tea. Do you want some tea as well? She asked him as she bustled around the kitchen. No thank you, I am good. As she had her tea, she cuddled on the couch and motioned to him to come sit next to her. When he was seated, she leaned into him with a content sigh. She smiled as she felt him put an arm around her slowly. This feels so comfortable. It is kind of strange. Just a week ago we were strangers again, Hermione said softly, looking up at him. Not strangers. We've always been something more, Sam corrected her gently. Even after all this time. Sam smiled down at her, his gaze unwavering, and nodded. I've never stopped thinking about you. I didn't know what to call it back then, but I knew you were important in some way. And now you are everything. Hermione's breath hitched at his words. He had explained what an imprint was and how they felt, and she too felt a pull towards him. But she did not want to rush it. Before she could say something, he interrupted her. I am not trying to push you. I just want you to know. I'm here for you, for the kids. For whatever you will let me be. Hermione felt her heart swell again and she smiled at him brightly. You mean a lot to me too, Sam. I want us to be, I don't exactly know how to explain, but I want us to be everything. Friends, a couple, partners, lovers, parents. But I also want to take it slowly. Maybe go on a few dates. Kissing aloud but not more for the moment, she tried to explain herself. I can agree to that. Kissing sounds good, he growled lowly into her ear. He took her breath away as he lowered his head to hers and kissed her lips for the second time that day. He pulled her closer with the arm he had around her shoulder and deepened the kiss. Her own hands were on his chest and shoulders as she kissed him back. This made her feel so connected to him and reminded her of their night together. Her cheeks flushed with heat and slight embarrassment. Before she could lose herself completely, they broke the kiss, both panting for air. "It feels good too," Hermione said a bit breathless. "Yes," he growled again, while nuzzling her cheek and neck. Her hands started roaming while his were holding her tightly. "Hermione," he growled her name and made her shiver, her hands not stopping. "Hermione," he repeated more urgently, "we need to stop here, or I won't be able to hold back." She froze in his arms and blushed. She looked up and into his eyes. They had darkened from lust and need, like hers probably had too. Their gazes were locked, and she was drawn to him. Before their lips could touch again, his phone started ringing. He groaned and sat up again, pulling her up with him. Somehow, they had managed to lay down on the couch. He pulled out his phone and looked at the screen. With a look to Hermione, he put the phone on speaker, which surprised her. She made to stand up and give him some privacy, but he pulled her back to his side. "Man, you told us you would let us know and we still did not hear from you. Are you okay? What about the little girl?" came the worried voice of Seth out of the phone. "Is everyone there to listen?" Yes. You know keeping secrets does not work with us. Come on, what happened?" Jared asked impatiently. "Hermione is listening too," Sam then told the others with a smirk, while looking at her. "Hi you all," she spoke, feeling kind of shy. At first there was silence, then there was loud, unidentifiable shouting. "Quiet," Sam said authoritatively, and they became silent again. "It turned out that Hermione had my daughter 2 years ago. Her name is Shay. She also adopted a boy named Teddy. We will take it slow, but if all goes well we will be a family of 4, he told them and caressed over her cheek with a smile. "Congratulations," was heard loudly from everyone. "Thank you. You will meet them some other time. I want to get to know them first," Sam told them. "Maybe not all at once. The children are used to a lot of people, but not so many strangers at once. Come by in pairs in a few days," Hermione suggested. Sam nodded and said, "I will see you tomorrow and we can talk more." All said their goodbyes and then Sam hung up. "Sorry about them. They can get very excited. And worried it seems," Hermione replied and then had to yawn. "We should go to sleep. Could I stay over? I can sleep on the couch." "Sleep sounds good. This was a long day, and the kids will be up early in the morning. If you want to stay, you can have a guest room." After Sam nodded, they went up and readied themselves for bed. Hermione showed him the room he could use. Before she left him, she kissed him shyly goodnight. She would have good dreams tonight, she was sure of it. The 26th of August 2006, Cullen's house, Washington. A few days had passed, and they had already settled into a routine. Sam was great with both children and with her. They enjoyed their time together, even having a little date at her home, while the children slept upstairs. They also had their first argument. She had wanted to introduce Shay and Teddy to the rest of the Cullens family, since they had treated her so well and she had promised them to let them meet. She knew that especially the women were very excited to meet the 2 toddlers. When Hermione had told Sam about this, he almost exploded from anger. He had shouted and paced around the living room, even scaring the children, who had been playing in a corner of the kitchen. She could not believe what backward views he was spouting about leeches and wanting to tear them apart. She had shouted right back at him, since he was insulting her family and friends. Sam had started shaking at some point and ran out the door, transforming into a giant wolf outside and running into the woods. After having reassured the children that they still loved them and that their daddy would come back later, after running a bit, she too had calmed down. She had realized where his anger came from. He was scared for their children and her. Later that evening he had come back and they had apologized to each other. After having put the children to bed, they had addressed their issues and talked it out. She reassured Sam that the Cullens would not harm her or the children and that she would put safety measures in place, magical ones of course. She had even proposed that she would go without him, but he had refused her outright. He would not let them go alone. He needed to be with them, to protect them. And she understood. That is how they came to be in front of the Cullens' house. Hermione felt very nervous, not because she was afraid something could happen to her children like Sam, but because she knew that the relationship between Sam and the Cullen was strained at best. She hoped it would go well and that both parties would hold back a little. She squeezed Sam's hand for reassurance and held Teddy's little hand in her other. Shay was held by Sam, her head leaning on his shoulder. Before they could knock, the door opened and Jasper stood at the door, smiling at them. He held the door open for them to enter. "Welcome. The others are waiting in the living room upstairs. They will be on their best behavior. No harm will come to you. I promise." Hermione smiled at him, grateful for his words. The new family followed the vampire up the stairs and into the living room. Teddy stopped in the door and looked at the other vampires, his nose twitching, while he smelled them. "They are good bad smells?" Teddy asked unsure. Hermione let go of Sam's hand and knelt beside Teddy. "Yes, Teddy, they are nice vampires. They won't hurt us. They are Jasper's family. He is my uncle, remember?" Hermione tried to reassure him, while she caressed his hair. "Promise, we won't hurt you. We want you to like us. We like your mummy and want to spend time with all of you. I am sure we will like you too." Satisfied, Teddy nodded. "Okay." Emmett let out a booming laugh. "I like this kid already. Want to play a game? Can I, Mommy?" "If you want you can play with Emmett. But not too long, you know gaming time is 1 hour a day not more. Maybe he has the games Uncle Harry has. Go ask him." Hermione watched Teddy toddle over to the big Emmett and she couldn't help but smile. He was so brave. He would surely go to Gryffindor like his father. On the other hand, he was so open to differences that he maybe was more similar to Tonks. She was pulled out of her musings by Alice clapping into her hands, practically bouncing on her feet as she looked at Shay. "Well, now that that's settled, can I hold her?" His growl was vibrating trough Hermione and she had to put her hand on his arm to remind him not to grip their daughter too tightly. Alice, to her credit, just smiled patiently. "She smells like Hermione and like you. I wouldn't harm her, Sam," Alice added gently. Hermione looked up at him and murmured, "It's your call." Hesitating, Sam exhaled trough his nose. Then he carefully transferred Shay into Alice's waiting arms. Alice beamed as she cradled the little girl, gently rocking her. "Oh, she is so precious." The little girl blinked sleepily at Alice, getting seemingly curious. To all their surprise, she then reached for one of the tiny charms dangling from the vampire's bracelet. "She likes shiny things. She has good taste." Rosalie, who had been watching the interaction with a longing gaze, stepped forward, asking to hold her as well. Sam tensed again but then nodded. He stayed alert, not letting Shay out of his sight. Alice then passed the little toddler to Rosalie, who held her in a careful and almost loving way. Hermione had the suspicion that the blonde vampire had an unfulfilled wish of becoming a mother. She hoped having the 2 toddlers in her life would help her in some ways. A booming laugh went trough the room and a happy squeal. Everyone looked over to Emmett and Teddy, who were sitting in front of a TV with controllers in hand. "The pup isn't bad. I bet you will be really good at gaming. And probably strong too," he complimented the little one. Teddy, always eager to prove himself, puffed out his chest. "I'm already good and strong." Sam, who had been watching the interactions, finally exhaled and turned to Hermione. "This isn't what I expected." "Better or worse?" she asked with a small smile. Considering for a moment, he finally replied with a slight smirk, "Tolerable." Hermione laughed at that and nudged him lightly. "I will take that." "Thank you, Sam. It means so much to me." Standing on her toes and pulling him down to her a little, she kissed him softly, smiling up to him. As the afternoon continued, the tension that had been present at the beginning of the meeting slowly faded. By the time they left, Hermione felt hope. Her family was expanding and getting along slowly. The end.